Welcome to the social sound check. Raise your voice and reconnect from every stream. Sounds ignite. We test, we break, we build it right. Tuesday lights up every feed. Voices meet where ideals lead, from Substack streams to global calls. Creation echoes through the halls. We test, we tweak, we mix, we mend, and every tone becomes a friend. Welcome to the social sound check. Raise your voice and reconnect from every stream. Sounds ignite. We test, we break, we build it right. Across the wires, across the seas, new gear hums and ideas speak free. AI sparks and analog dreams, colliding beats and feedback streams. No cameras roll, just waves and will, where sound is art and learning thrills. We tune imagination wide, from whispered thought to amplified. Together let the moments grow, integration and audio flow. Welcome to the social sound check. Raise your voice and reconnect from every streamer. Sounds ignite. We test, we break, we build it right. Welcome to the social sound check. Raise your voice and reconnect from every streamer. Sounds ignite. We test, we break, we build it right.
Well, hello, Keith Keller, Melbourne, Australia, and it's the Social Audio Sound Check. It's Tuesday, 10 a.m. in June. I think it's the 30th of June, the end of the month, the end of the financial year, and July actually is going to create a lot of opportunities. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Hello from wherever you are in the world, and please yell out and tell me where you are. Josette is popping in to show support in between meetings. Hello and thank you. Thank you very much. We have a lot of fun. Julian, hey, how you doing, man? I'll send you a link in a minute if you want to join. We're having so much fun today. We're doing this every Tuesday. We did it every Tuesday in June. New show starting in July. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But today we just do a bit of a fun thing with the idea of social audio. Is it a thing? Are you sick and tired of having to go on camera? I am. And so I'm just doing these shows for all those people that just do not want to be on camera. It's not a sin. It's not a crime. You're not alone. And I'm here for you. So a couple of things to check if you want to come on the show or listen to the show. You can check your internet speed at speedtest.net. We've actually worked out that that's actually a key way to find out if you can get some good sound. You can actually watch the show on YouTube if you prefer. Very strong signal there. You can make comments as well. And this is the look we're actually going for, sort of a Brady Bunch look. I love this look. Just love this look. And we often get 6 or 8 people on the show over time, and we'll just play a few songs and have a bit of fun. I'll send some links out. If you are on Substack, I would really, really appreciate it if you can contact me there. That's a good one. That's a big one that I'm working on lately. 38 states now. I just got some new stats today. 38 states in the US and 32 countries around the world. About 60%. I'm just about to. I'll send you some. I'll tell you what I'll do, Julian. I'll actually play another song. Now, one of the things I do with this show, if no one comes or if we're having trouble getting guests, I've got about, 100 songs now. So I'm just having so much fun playing songs. So one of the things we're playing around with, and we can start here, is the idea of AI. You know, is it hard? Can you be bothered? Is it a crime? Is it going to destroy the world? Or is it just a lot of fun? And so I wrote a song about that, created a song about that using AI. The words are created with AI, the music is created with AI, but I didn't just push a button. I had to do a lot of work to get it to sound this good. This is about the 75th incarnation. So have a listen to this. I think this sets the tone, and then we'll bring Julian and Josette in if they've got time.
This is practical AI, simple and real, turning just an idea into something you feel. From stuck in your head to something you share. One small step and it's suddenly there. No code, no pressure, just dive right in. This is practical AI, so let's begin. You don't need a lab coat, don't need a degree, just a curious mind and a cup of coffee. Open up a blank page, type a simple line. Help me write a story, now your co-designing time. It's not sci-fi, it's not far away, it's in your hands every single day. This is practical AI, simple and real, turning just an idea into something you feel. From stuck in your head to something you share. One small step and it's suddenly there. No code, no pressure, just dive right in. This is practical AI, so let's begin. Need a better headline, need to clean your notes, summarize a meeting, or draft that post. It won't be perfect, but it'll get you close. Like a quiet collaborator who never says no. You steer the wheel, it helps you drive, it's not alive, but it amplifies. This is practical AI, simple and real, turning just an idea into something you feel. From stuck in your head to something you share. One small step and it's suddenly there. No code, no pressure, just dive right in. This is practical AI, so let's begin. Ask better questions, get better replies. That's the secret no one really hides. Edit, refine, don't copy, paste blind. You're still the author, it's just your co-pilot mind. Start with one thing and keep it real simple. Write, test, tweak. That's the whole principle. This is practical AI, simple and real, turning just an idea into something you feel. From stuck in your head to something you share. One small step and it's suddenly there. No code, no pressure, just dive right in. This is practical AI, so let's begin.
Okay, that was a bit of fun. Practical AI. This is such an interesting topic. Is it the devil? I mean, is it just a fun thing to do in your spare time? Are we killing the world? I mean, I'm just saying this because I'm getting all these messages from both sides. Right? Practical AI. Now, just to let you know about this idea of AI and how to use it. Hello, Amerigo. Man, are you far from Coburg?
Am I far from Coburg? Coburg is maybe, I'm going to say, an hour.
Okay, because we just I just had a sort of a refresh with a mate of mine, Julian Schmidt, who's listening in from Coburg, which has got this really unusual spelling, lots of U's and lots of O's. and he's in Coburg, Toronto. I've always assumed he was from Toronto. Is that a suburb of Toronto? Was it sort of more an Ontario
No,
thing?
it's a rural part, just east of Toronto.
Okay. Well, Julian and I know each other from the 2010s. Like we know each other from before COVID. And you may remember me talking about the fact that I did this gig in Jamaica, but I didn't go.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Julian did go. Right. I got this call from someone in Jamaica saying, "Hey, we got this big conference. Oh, it's a big conference, mate. I'll pay you $5,000." All right, no worries. Okay. Well, I'm not getting on a plane for 27 hours to speak in front of a crowd at some island. And people are going, "You are crazy, man. Come on. That's a holiday and one. A free holiday." Yeah, but it's a bloody long way. I'm not doing that. So I called out a few mates, and Julian actually spoke on stage. He's a bit of a dude. I would love to hear how that went. And another mate of mine, who I think currently lives in Philadelphia, but at that time was in Korea. Ooh, you've got a bit of an echo going on there. Are we going to do the song again?
I just muted that. Sorry.
And another friend of mine who's now in professor in, I think Philadelphia, might be Chicago. 50 states of America I can never keep up. But anyway, at that time, she was in Seoul, Korea. And she went from Seoul, Korea to Jamaica. It took her 36 hours. Right? 36 hours. She got stuck at JFK Airport. She slept on a couch for 12 hours because the plane kept getting delayed. And when she got there, she spoke. She was the headliner. And she says, "Keith, thank you. I love this." I said, "What do you mean you love it? 36 hours of your life gone just to do a gig in real life on the other side of the world. Come on, that can't be a good use of your time." Oh, man, it was great. And she got like heaps of videos. She's now a professor, I think, of AI or technical stuff. So, Julian, if you want to join, we got another Torontarian to live, and you can tell us about rural Coburg. It is a funny spelling, lots of O's and lots of U's, but I'd love to hear from you. And more importantly, what tech you're using. I haven't had my camera on probably since that gig, which was May 2019, America. This is pre-COVID. Like I was already in the zone before then. So this is just a great idea. Jo Sett is, I think, calling in from LA. She's got meetings today. But Julian would be a fantastic contact for you, especially part of your road trip. Have you been to Coburg? Is it one of the 60 towns you've been to in Canada?
I've driven through Coburg on the way to Kingston, on the way to Ottawa, and on the way to Montreal. So it's on the Highway Series 401. It's in the corridor.
Yeah. Well, the reason why this is important and a bit of fun is that I'm bringing the image up in a minute. With the stats for Substack, which I love, and we are live on Substack. I'm just checking in to see if anyone's there. I think Jason's there. We have 8% of our following and our listeners in Canada. I'm guessing you have a much higher number than that. Given that
I wish I did. I don't.
So what's your numbers?
I'm going to check, but last I checked, I was 8% as well.
Yeah, and look, that obviously has nothing to do with you and I. Is Canadians reluctant to embrace this new one? So
we had this conversation a few days back, and it got me digging around. And I went into my Meta analytics, and apparently anything that I put up in Meta, now I'm not there frequently on Facebook. I can't remember the last time I posted something on Facebook, but if I look at my Instagram, over 90% of the demographics are Canadians. 90% of content consumers for what I upload and drop on Instagram are Canadian. And I did the same thing for TikTok. And it appears from my lens, that's where Canadians are hanging out. Instagram and TikTok. Because when I look at my analytics,
okay, yeah, okay,
yeah,
yep.
when I look at my LinkedIn analytics, when I look at YouTube, when I look at Substack, the bulk of it is the United States and Canada trailing in a far, far distant single digits, high single digits.
You want to jump in on this idea, Jason? I know your stats are very different to ours, but do you have a lot of Canadians, or are Canadians in general sort of a bit averse to trying new things, and they stick to Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and things like that? What do you think? We got you there, Jason. Jump in if you can.
Yeah, I'm
Red,
sorry if I'm on my phone. If I'm in portrait mode, I can't unmute. I have to turn it to landscape. I would say if I was to look at my analytics for across TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Substack, they're all the same. And it's mostly American, followed by Canadian, and then Australian and New Zealand would probably be third, then European, mostly, English, Scottish, Irish would be third or fourth.
Yeah, I think. Look, it's fascinating. My stats are 8% Australia, 7% Canada, 62%, 62% US, and that's important because I'm playing a little game that I want to get. I've got 38 states of America now. I just got some new stats today. 38 states. Just this big block in the middle that won't play the game. Maine's there, Alaska, Hawaii, they won't come on board. But I'm playing a bit of a game. Do you do this sort of stuff, Jason, with your stats? Your numbers are so big, you probably don't have time to dig this deep, do you?
I just switched to my mic. Hopefully you can hear me.
Better.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I do get curious from time to time. I do get curious, and I'm like, hey, whose fault? And it is interesting. Is that state breakdown? Is that on Substack? Like you're looking at your Substack analytics?
Yeah, that's the Substack.
Oh, okay.
It only does US, doesn't do Canada. But given that 62% of my following is in the US, and you have 4 time zones there in the North American area, 4, it's very handy for me to say, okay, I've got my head around Mountain Time and Pacific Time and Central Time, and even I think Nova Scotia is on what they call Atlantic Time. I think that's what they call it there. So, and Atlantic Time is the same as Brazil and Argentina, and I've got quite a good following in South America on other sites, not so much here. So I think it actually helps me to understand, like maybe it would be really good for me to do a show in 2 a.m. And I did do that Jamaica gig at 12:30 at night. But the only reason I did it was because they paid me $500, and I took my wife out for dinner that night to compensate for the fact that I kept her awake. So, 2:30 in the morning is not a very good time for anyone to be working unless you're a night owl, which I'm not. So I tried staying up. It was bloody horrible. I was really, 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 really tired. But, she gave me $500. So, again, that's something I'd love to chat to Julian about. He flew to Jamaica, stayed overnight, spoke really well about some cool subjects, flew back. I can tell you for sure I'm never doing that again. Never in my life am I doing that again. I've done it. I'm retired now. I don't have to do it, but I'm never doing that again because it's just so bloody far. In fact, Melbourne to London just came on board. This is a true story. Qantas now has a flight Melbourne to London, 20 hours in a plane. That is death for me. Like, that is death. I would rather jump out the plane than sit in a chair for that long. Don't test me on this. But it's a long way, isn't it, America? And some of us just are not up for it.
Yeah, if given the choice, I'm still leaning towards flying. I'm still at that point where I'll give it a go. I know it's exhausting. I know what I will look and feel like at the end of a long haul like that. but I'm still up for an adventure like that. My fiance, she can't do it. I'd have to fly her first class or business class or first class, the best accommodations so that she can stretch out. Because if you're flying coach, that is hard on the body.
Yeah. Well, my wife and I fight about this every time she wants an annual holiday. Oh yeah, we're going to fly to Greece. Okay, no worries. How are we going to get there? Melbourne to Singapore, 8 hours. Singapore to Athens, 16 hours. Oh, come on. There's got to be a better way. Can't we just beam in? Can't you just send me there in a shuttle? Anyway, I'm probably about 400 years out of time, but I'm watching too much sci-fi. But do you do a lot of traveling, Jason? Are you up for that?
I live in Alberta, so when we do fly, or I fly, lately it has been to British Columbia. So the flights are like 2 to 3 hours, which are you basically go up in the air. They serve you drinks and a snack, and then you're landing. And those are glorious flights. I love those.
Yeah. No jet
I
lag.
have had to do different kinds of training, and I do present at teachers conventions in my day job, where I've flown to the States, to Florida, to Texas, to Kansas City. I guess that's Missouri, right? I'm a very tall guy, like I'm 6'3", so if I'm scrunched into a plane, it's brutal. But if I have leg room, I don't mind a plane. I sleep. I have like this thing called a Steam Deck, so I can play like a video game on it. So like I don't know. I don't mind it. And now I have headphones that just like suck the world away, those noise canceling things. So if there's a parent has a little baby or a child and they're doing their best on this flight with a little kid, I've been there before with our little kids. Like, it's just, you can't help if the baby's crying. But now that we don't have babies, I'd rather not hear it. But if I don't have leg room, it can be brutal because I'm squashed in there like a sardine. So
yeah. Look, I'm going to bring just Julian in. If you can put your thumbnail on, mate, I'd love this. We ever since Jamaica, actually, I have become the social audio guy. Yeah, is that okay? So what we'll do is we'll just take you out of the show for a minute. All you have to do, tell us what you're doing. Julian and I go back to 2018, pre-COVID. How you doing? What's going on?
Hey, Keith. Yeah, has it been a long to catch up on. I don't even know where to start. But I see that you're talking about some things that I'd love to talk about. I'd love to hear about your journey, because I know when you and I, at that time, when you were talking about that sort of Jamaica stuff, you were doing a lot on Twitter, on what it was at the time, Twitter X. I don't even know that Elon Musk had purchased it yet. Had he?
No, it was November 2022. Actually, we can start.
So that predates that.
Oh, that's
Wow.
right. Predates COVID.
So much has changed. Yeah,
so
that's right.
Let's
and COVID,
there.
On the subject that you guys are talking about in terms of travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the subject of what you guys are talking about in terms of traveling, exactly that. COVID is a real killer. And I quite enjoyed, I agree with what you're saying that, the travel, I hate the actual process of traveling. I agree with you 100%. At the end of the day, though, I agree with what I think it was Jason was saying about, you get there and then it ends up being worth it. Because I value those in-person, face-to-face conversations a lot. I think they're fantastic. Took the steam out of, took the air out of that balloon as it was rising. And I'm certainly open to it now. But it's been since around that period. I was
let's have a flashback,
doing a lot of shows, and in public engagement.
Look at this. This is 2019. This is your Rob Lowe look. Can you see that? You probably can you see? This is why I love this show. Let me start with this.
At the
So
moment.
in 2019, I was invited to a gig in Jamaica. They were going to pay me $5,000, but I had to get there, I had to get home, and it was going to cost me $2,700 to get there. $2,700. Right, I thought, okay, well, so now I'm down to $2,300 clear to go 27 hours on a plane. That's not good. It's $150 to the airport each way, so there's $300. I got to stay in a hotel. That's $200 a night. There's $1,000. I thought I'm gonna be down about I'm gonna be making about $1,000, and I'm gonna lose a week of my life. No way. Can we do it online? Well, there was a lot. This is 2019, right? A lot of kickback. Well, I'm not doing it unless I can do it online. I'm not the only one in the world that understands Twitter. I'm not like a unique personality. Just find someone else. No, Keith, we want you. Oh, well, it's a nice position to be in, but I'm not doing it unless you can do it online. So we did it online, and you were there with from
I was there
at that time from Seoul, Korea. Tell us about that gig. It's a
Right, that's
very
right.
good reminiscence because this was prior to COVID, prior to all of the stuff going on online now, and before Dex was sold. It was a different world, wasn't it?
It was a different world. There's no question about it. It's very interesting because I actually came across the video of my speech I gave sort of, one was to the executives, one was to the general public who would purchase tickets to the event. And there was certainly a lot of energy at that time around Facebook advertising. That was part of the reason that I was there to talk a bit about that. What was really interesting, though, about my talk to the executives was that at the time, chatbots were a big thing. It was chatbots. It wasn't really AI yet.
I remember chatbots. Yeah. Yep.
Right. And so what was interesting was that one of the main theses of my conversation with the executive crew was to say, yes, there's all of these fantastic new technologies emerging, and there's absolutely no reason not to use them if they're going to achieve certain efficiency gains and so on. But be very careful about replacing your staff with these agents for multiple reasons, one of which I was saying was that, you're going to create an army of disgruntled employees for this short-term gain, and you don't know that it's necessarily a short-term gain. And sure enough, just recently there was this story about IKEA, right? And how they did replace a lot of their call center staff with AI chatbots, but they didn't fire them. They redeployed them as consultants for interior design. They ended up creating a $1.5 billion industry for themselves in a matter of 3 years by retaining all of their staff. And so it's funny that news story about IKEA came out recently, and then I was looking at my video from then, and what I was saying was still valid. And then the other part of it was that I was talking about the gig economy, and COVID hadn't started.
That's right. You were talking a lot about
nobody knew what Zoom was, right? Nobody knew what Zoom was. And then post-COVID, everybody knew what Zoom was.
Tell us a bit about what that means. That's a phrase that might not be in use anymore, but what does that mean? Remote work is what we're doing right now. Yeah, what does the gig economy actually mean?
Right. Well, I mean, the gig economy, a couple of things. I mean, in many ways, there's a lot. It falls perhaps into that category of jargon that really just means consultants. But the rise of a consultancy, more people being able to operate independently. It was, people were talking about, hey, people were happy about how work from home, much more online. And again, that was pre-COVID. Post-COVID, now all of a sudden everybody was working from home, and it's been hard to get people to go back to the office in some cases, right? So um, that was certainly the start of let's say, I think, and there it still continues, where people are seeking autonomy, self-reliance. They the old equation of the industrial revolution, that you would just, you could get a job, have a career with the same company for all your life, and then you could retire in good standing with a home and so forth. That started to break down, and the trust relationship between companies and individuals has broken down. And it's become a sort of a user relationship in many ways. And so a lot of people, I think, have started to want to get out of that system, and you've seen that manifest in lots of ways, like digital nomad, a rise in entrepreneurship, that kind of thing. So that's what I think we were talking about when we said the gig economy, this rise of that.
It's very, very,
movement, I
very
guess.
interesting. I'll throw to Jason, and he lives in Red Deer, Alberta. In fact, we've got 100% Canadians on today. This is pretty cool. One of the things that you
Mhm.
may not know, Julian, I'm very proud of this, is that in Victoria, in Melbourne, where I live, the government is making it law on the 1st of September that you must allow your workers to work 2 days a week from home if they want to, if they can do it. Obviously, if they're pumping petrol or making coffee, they can't do that. But most people can work from home and still get things done. So I'm very proud of this. I might be the first government in the world. We have made it. We're going to make it law from the 1st of September that if you can work from home, you must be allowed to. And that's going to be a legal battle that some businesses will fight. But it shows the depth of intensity about this subject. Do you want to pick up on that, Jason? You couldn't do your job at home, could you? You can't teach kids science lessons from home, can you? We still got you there, Jason, or did you have to go? Let me just see. I think he has gone. All right, no worries, my fault. What about you, Americo? Have you heard anything about this movement towards working from home?
Well, there's a tremendous movement. We haven't heard too much about it, but the latest was getting people back into the office, and some of the leaders and organizations were trying to spin it as, it bringing back the workplace culture, and it's just a better environment. But the reality, many are saying that it's people working from home is ruining the local economy, the restaurateurs, the small businesses, and because the downtown metropolitan areas are vacant, they're abandoned. People are all working from home. Restaurateurs who just lived off of the lunch crowd and the cocktail happy hours after work, they were suffering. So the government stepped in. I know the Ontario government mandated January, February that they were going to bring all government employees back to the office to help the larger enterprises. Hey, the government's got our back. They're doing the same. We're going to follow suit. And that was the narrative. I haven't heard anything since, but I know there's a push and pull. If you're an employee, you're trying to convince your employer. Like, there's no reason. We've proven that work can be done. There's no reason why I need to come in, no matter how you spin it. But listen, I've been on both sides. I know there's a lot of distraction that we can succumb to working from home. It does require a certain discipline. I've had conversations with former direct reports who would disappear because they were running errands or cooking meals. It's like, hey, I need you focused on whatever deadline or whatever your task is, and then kind of try to do your personal tasks in between. But I totally get it as to why they want us back, and I can kind of support why it's not necessary. So it's going to be a hard sell here in Canada.
What do you think, Julian? My wife works from home on a Friday, and she says I get much more done because there isn't the distractions of the office. Okay, Carol, can you just help me on this one? I got this little spreadsheet. Can you just run your mate? I'm halfway through a fucking calculation. She's the financial planner. I'm doing this very complex calculation for this client. She needs it by 4 o'clock. I'd really rather you go away. No, look, it's only going to take you a minute. Promise. I think the distractions of being at work are far greater.
No, they can be. I think Jason gave a very strong sort of nuanced answer there, and that because it is very complicated. He's absolutely right that if you are to work from home, that does require a certain discipline. Actually, in both directions. I've worked from home for a good portion of my career. Back in the days when I was with Ben and Jerry's was probably that's like, I was in my 20s then. That was sort of the ideal, in that I was on the road about half the time, and I was at home half the time. And that mix was what was sort of perfect for me. Some people, don't have that discipline, and so you've got that issue or that problem, that challenge of some employees. Others, as you say, will be infinitely more productive because they don't have distractions. That's the other weird thing in my particular case. Exactly that there's the creative element to what I do, in which case I very much like to be sort of alone, isolated. I get into what a lot of creatives call a flow state, and like to have that interrupted. And an office environment is not great. On the other hand, the value of collaboration and working with people also has a huge value, where I might be able to create and produce something fantastic on my own, but when you work with other people, the whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts. So I'll repeat what Jason was kind of it's nuanced. You can see both sides of it. You can see why businesses want to prevent employee taking advantage of the leniency and flexibility and not putting in the hours and the time to do. And on the other side of it, 5 days a week, 9 to 5, plus travel and so forth, is a lot to ask of people for an entire long career. Retiring necessarily as early as we used to either. So, I'm for autonomy. I'm for self-reliance. That's for sure.
I do know that Gen Z, anyone born after 2020, refuse a job that doesn't have work-life balance. They just refuse. So I have had friends of mine say, look, I'm not going into the office. I'm going to quit. I'm actually quitting this job, and I'm going to go and get another job because I can, and I will. So there's not that loyalty of, look, just go to work, come home, buy a house, retire in 40 years, and just suck it up. Right? There's not that acceptance anymore. Someone said to me recently, people used to be okay with going into the city. I said they weren't okay. They were willing. They were prepared to do it because there was no other choice, and they gave you a bucket of money at the end of the week. But if they weren't paying you, there's no way they're going in for nothing, and they would prefer to do it from home. And I'm really fascinated by this because, as I said, the Victorian government, the Melbourne government, not Victoria, Canada, which is also another alignment for us. They've said from the 1st of September, if you can work from home, you will legally be allowed to. I mean, imagine a mum. Just imagine the psychology of a mum. She's 25, 30 years old. She's got a kid. She's got to go into the city. Where's she going to put the kid? My sister used to get up at 4 a.m. because she was a single mum, take her kids to a friend's house, drop them off, go to work. The friend would take the kids to school and pick them up and have to have them. And then she'd go and pick them up at 6 o'clock. That's just not workable. I mean, I don't know how she did it. And what effect does that? It's just an amazing story. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Working from home definitely has its advantages, and I'd love to see if you want to jump in on that. Adrienne, SG, Sherry. I'm guessing is Sherry Grant. Put your thumbnail on for me. Do you want to put your thumbnail on, Julian, and just see if we can get a bit of a sort of an animated vibe going here? You just simply turn your camera off and go into your settings, the three dots, and you'll get a
Oh
change.
yeah, okay. Figure out how to do that.
And Sherry, if you want to do the same, we can bring you in. Sherry, as a mum, working from home is a godsend, isn't it? You want to pick up on that, Sherry? Can you tell us what you're doing there, SG?
Oh, I'm currently looking after a sick kid. Yeah.
So, I mean, did you ever work in the city as a mum, or have you always worked from home on a pretty flexible roster?
Mostly working from home, but my job requires going out to perform in different places. Like, I play with students, I play with professionals, and that's yeah. It also requires going out to different places in different countries.
Yeah, Sherry's got a very like. Actually, I want to tell this story. You may not know this story, Sherry. Let's back up. Sherry is a very cool Taiwanese-born Aucklander who travels the world playing classical piano. Right, so it's a very unique skill. You can't do that from home. Maybe you could do an online gig with an orchestra, but it'd be very difficult. So you must have a system where you put the kids in with the grandparents. What happens when you're traveling?
Yeah, they do spend time with their grandparents, and hopefully not for too long at a time. I think my maximum was almost 3 weeks. Yeah, of going away on concert tours, and I do that at least once a year.
Yeah, and is there a movement in New Zealand to working from home? Have we had a taste of it and we can't go back?
With certain companies, they seem to be incorporating like maybe half and half, but I think a lot of them have gone back. But I don't know. I haven't seen a lot, so I cannot speak for many places. But yeah, from what I've seen, some places are adopting the more flexible hours.
Yeah, you probably haven't had a day job for 20 years, right? A job where you went into the city and got paid at the end of the week.
Yeah, my last job, like a regular job, was no, actually less than 20 years ago. Yeah, but yeah, almost 20 years.
Yeah. Well, I just as a bit of a backstory, Julian, who's in Toronto, not Toronto, in a cool town called Coburg, Ontario. He's a good lead for you. He's part of the gig economy, and he's a very good mate of mine from the olden days. And before COVID, I want to tell this story, Sherry, because this is a very important one. Before COVID, I was asked to do a gig in Jamaica, and I said no. We did it online. I did it online. Julian actually went, and a friend of mine from Seoul, Korea, flew to Kingston, Jamaica. You know, it took her 36 hours to get there, Julian. Are you still there, mate? Let's play this game.
Yeah, you were mentioning that's insane.
But you're saying it's let's play.
In your case, when you were talking about going to New Zealand, sorry, when you were talking about going, it was too long. I apologize because the audio for me is breaking up a bit while I get this photo in.
Let's play this game. This is actually a Canadian thing. We have noticed that the internet in Canada is actually very bad, and I want to apologize in advance for that. I wish I could wave a magic wand and change it for you. If you want to check your internet, it's speedtest.net. You need at least 5 gigabytes to get 5 megabytes a second to get good audio. That's what this show's actually about. It's called the Social Audio Sound Check, and we do these shows to help other people get good sound. But while I've got you, how are you? How are you doing this online game now that you're in Coburg, Ontario? I'm guessing it's a bit of a sort of a tree change. Are you still very much involved in the online world, or do you have a community there in your local town? What do you think, Julian?
Yeah, they can. And now that I've got about 5 profile photos going. It just kept on adding profile photo part. If you can me, yeah, you're right that. Well, I wonder how much censoring goes on in Canada too. I think there's a lot of monitoring.
Oh wow. Okay. So, I'd love to hear your thoughts. You've obviously moved out of Toronto into a rural area. What's your new life like? Are you still working? Like, I've retired. I don't mind admitting that. I retired. I just do this for fun. But you're still actively employed and playing the game, yeah?
Is that to me?
Yeah, yeah. Look, what I
Yeah.
might do. Why don't you?
Oh yeah, no, I am very active. I'm back in. I think I can hear pretty well. I don't know if I got in.
Yeah. Well, keep going with it. It's there's a huge lag. You might as well be on the moon, but huge lag. But
Okay,
let's play this game. Why don't you
All right.
reboot? Why don't you
Yeah, no
reboot?
kidding. Okay,
Why don't you reboot and try
I'll
again?
recap. I'll go. I'll give you the quick summary. If you can hear me, yeah, what I'll get through a bit about where I was. So when you and I met, that was when I was agent. Came on the scene, something I had been quietly developing in the background, which was really my own platform, a sort of video in a box. And it originally I envisioned primarily for agencies because I understood the workflow of agencies and a lot of the pain points that agencies go through in terms. And so I had a lot of experience in terms of how project management often works environment, and had a vision to build my own platform that would help manage that. Then AI came along, and all of a sudden that poured gasoline on the project. I was able to develop that at a very rapid pace. I made I think a good choice in adopting Claude .ai early. It's a fantastic coding platform. It's improved infinitely since then. And so in November I launched Studio J. Now Studio J was, in the end, it's become basically any kind of business platform. And you can check that out at studio-j.app. It's fantastic because it was built with AI inside of it from day one. And there's a few things that I did that were unique. One was that I used a database, and I just used flat JSON files. And the other thing, I created an API manager and a module installer, which means that now knows how to build a new module, and anybody can take my platform, go to Claude with the instructions, and say, I have a workflow that I want Calendly to work like this. And then you tell it, and in a bunch of files that you now have, it gives you one zip file, and you just put that into the installer, and you have your own module. So it's kind of like us or Shopify with their plugins, only you get to invent your own using it.
And Claude does that very,
in a
very
nutshell
well,
where
doesn't
I'm
it?
at the moment.
Claude's very good for that, isn't it? Like it's extremely useful in that field, isn't it? It's very flexible, and I hear a lot of people. Do they call it projects? Is that a Claude word?
It's fantastic.
Or that might be. Is that yeah? Do you want to pick up on this, Americo? I would love to hear your take on AI. What
Yeah,
do we
no, I
do,
mean that.
Jake,
Yeah,
because
no, but it is. It's fantastic.
we're having quite a lot of trouble, Julian. I'm wondering whether you might want to reboot. And would you consider rebooting your computer, getting a stronger signal, and maybe adding your thumbnail? This is a fascinating topic. We talk a lot about AI. And I tell you what we might do in this context. I use a site called Suno. And while we're resetting the parameters, I'm going to see if I can get Julian to get a better signal, and I'll see if I can get Sherry to get her thumbnail. I've created many, many, many songs using Suno, and I love AI for this reason. It's not my song. I used Perplexity to write the words. I use Suno to make the music. There's not much of me in there, but it is a lot of fun. So I'm going to play that song, and hopefully Julian will be able to solve his internet. It's a thing, Americo. The Canadian internet is just stuffed. Come on, fix it. I'm stuffed. It's a universal principle. But I'm going to play a song and give us a couple of minutes to reset.
This is practical AI, simple and real, turning just an idea into something you feel. From stuck in your head to something you share, one small step and it's suddenly there. No code, no pressure, just dive right in. This is practical AI, so let's begin. You don't need a lab coat, don't need a degree, just a curious mind and a cup of coffee. Open up a blank page, type a simple line, help me write a story, now your co-designing time. It's not sci-fi, it's not far away, it's in your hands every single day. This is practical AI, simple and real, turning just an idea into something you feel. From stuck in your head to something you share, one small step and it's suddenly there. No code, no pressure, just dive right in. This is practical AI, so let's begin. Need a better headline, need to clean your notes, summarize a meeting or draft that post. It won't be perfect, but it'll get you close, like a quiet collaborator who never says no. You steer the wheel, it helps you drive. It's not alive, but it amplifies. This is practical AI, simple and real, turning just an idea into something you feel. From stuck in your head to something you share, one small step and it's suddenly there. No code, no pressure, just dive right in. This is practical AI, so let's begin. Ask better questions, get better replies. That's the secret no one really hides. Edit, refine, don't copy, paste blind. You're still the author, it's just your co-pilot mind. Start with one thing, keep it real simple. Write, test, tweak, that's the whole principle. This is practical AI, simple and real, turning just an idea into something you feel. From stuck in your head to something you share, one small step and it's suddenly there. No code, no pressure, just dive right in. This is practical AI, so let's begin. So let's begin.
Hello, practical AI. So let's begin. Man, we've had some trouble today. What's your take on this, Americo? Practical AI. Where do we start? And if you can, Julian, I'd love you to add your thumbnail. not adding, and I'd love you to get this look for us. I just think it looks better, and that's very much a part of my show. So let's see if we can get your thumbnail going there. What do you think, Americo? Lots of internet problems, but practical AI. It's a good place to start, isn't it?
Absolutely. Listen, there's people who will sit on both sides of this AI argument, and listen, I've embraced it. I also understand that it can be conceived as slop, but if you're using it as a tool to supplement who you are and not replace who you are, it's perfectly acceptable. Now, I use it. There's no hiding it. There's no shame in saying that I use AI. I will use AI to create graphics, to create thumbnails, to analyze my transcriptions from the interviews that I conduct, and it helps me kind of compartmentalize the conversation so that I can articulate in my own voice. Like, it helps me, but that conversation still took place. There's no hiding. I'm not asking create a summary, create a blog, create an article that talks about this subject matter. The subject matter and the conversation took place. There's no hiding that. The question is, how do we package it so that it can be consumed with relative ease and deliver value using AI as a tool? And that's what makes it practical.
Yeah, I love this idea. And look, we're going to talk about this at great length tomorrow in a show called Repurpose 3030. But let's play this out in a practical way. Last week, great show. We did a show on school. It went 2 hours. We thought we were just going to have a chat. And for the first half hour, we did. And then people came and they added things that I hadn't thought of, right? Things I didn't know. We learnt things, and then they're gone. 2 hours. Where was it? 1 hour, 37 minutes in. How are we going to find it? So you did the transcript. This is an amazing story. You did the transcript using Substack. We're going to talk about that in a minute. I then punched that Substack. There we go. I then punched that Substack transcript into Copilot, which is the one I use, and I got 12 distinct articles that I could write, one of which came out yesterday, and it's had 300 views. So, I mean, I want to hear your words in that this story, Americo. This is an amazing use of AI in a practical way, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's really about understanding who you want to get the message out to, understanding what message, an underlying message exists in that transcript, because as you pointed out, we went in with one focus, one objective. We were going to talk about social audio, tech, and everything around social audio. And as most conversations, just naturally happen, things evolved and we went different directions. And part and parcel, one of the best reasons, if not the top reason why I love live content, whether it's video content, audio content, it just adds a layer of just authenticity. And when that conversation is taking place, there's no time to take notes and, hey, this was a really good piece of subject matter. Let me jot this down. I rely heavily on AI to kind of compartmentalize and break that down. Tell me what took place, summarize what took place, and then it gives me an idea as to how many pieces of content I can break it into, or if whether or not I want to keep it all together and just roll it out sequentially in a long form piece of content.
I love it. Julian, do you want to jump in? Americo is up. What suburb do you live in, mate? You don't have to tell me, but are you near Mississauga? Is that?
No, I'm in Vaughan, which is the city known as the city above Toronto.
Okay, the city above. Okay, I can live with that. I might write the city above. The city above. I can write this song. I'm morphing into a sort of an Ariana Grande with a big belly and grey hair. I can do that. The city above. The city above. I'm just sort of getting my tune in. Julian, I'd love to know how you use AI to prioritize, to transcript, to organize your day. I'm sure you're still having meetings and there's lots to talk about. What do you use AI for in this context? And that fits perfectly into what you're using, doesn't it?
Right.
We got a better signal from here.
Yeah, now that sorry about all of those technical challenges. I think I got the photo in and everything, so we're back. Yeah, I use it for in just about every realm, in the sense that like you were talking about earlier in terms of organizing thoughts, brainstorming around a particular topic, organizing. Okay, I'll use it for this piece of content. I might be creating content schedules. I'll use it for images, as you do. I've used it for a bit of music as well. I'm an organic musician as well. I play a bit of drums and guitar. But it is an interesting tool in that realm. I think there's an element to which are attuned to what is AI, whether that is in writing or video content or whatever it is. And there's a certain let's say rise in the valuation of organic, natural, real. And then, of course, on the coding side, I don't know if you caught earlier about me having built Studio J, which is my own platform, really. And so I use AI to create the tools that help me manage my day-to-day activities more efficiently. And basically, anytime that I come across some, and I don't think a lot of people realize this, especially you do in your day. Oh, I'd love to just, if only there was a tool that did this, or there is this tool, but I don't want to spend the one, that whatever. You can just go to Claude and say, build me the standalone tool, and you'll end up with an HTML file that will work in your browser.
And you're now offering that as a service. Yeah. You are offering that as a service.
Yeah.
This is actually really important because not everyone will do it. Like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do that. But I wouldn't mind talking to someone who can do it. Yeah. So you're offering that service for others?
And I've created, so I always did web development, and in various stages. That's been both front end, the what people see up front, and then also the back end tools. And there's been a lot of cases, certainly in larger clients with, let's say, for example, banks, where they might have an online calculator that goes to a video, and then from the video that leads you to find your mortgage expert, for example. And those complex flows, those used to take months and months and months and teams to do. Whereas something like that I can do on my own now over a weekend. And so, as I said, I'm creating tools that take care of administrative tasks for me. It's sort of like a limited, and sometimes it's still sort of consulting Claude or some other form of AI, but within a framework that I've predefined. And I haven't really found the limits on the efficiency gains, to be honest. It just keeps on getting more and more efficient. The platform gets more and more powerful. Claude gets more and more powerful. I don't know where it stops.
What do you want to pick up on this, Americo? I think the gains for businesses and entrepreneurs are just enormous. We have had our own challenges getting things done. And what do you use Claude? How do you tell us what you do in the entrepreneurial journey in the, as far as it relates to AI?
Well, I hear Claude quite a bit in how much it does in comparison to all the other tools, and how some people just swear by Claude. I don't know how to answer that question, because I know that if I jump into Claude and invest time in Claude, tomorrow there's going to be something completely different. This is moving so rapid that it's unfathomable.
Yeah.
It's incredible how fast things are moving.
That's true.
And we're embracing something today, and tomorrow it's in the history books and it's obsolete, and that's no longer how people are doing it. But I know one thing for sure, and I know it's generational, and the Gen Xers and perhaps those after or those preceding us, many of us still want that human connection, still want to have that real human contact. Listen, leverage
100%.
the tech, great. People will embrace the tech, but some of us, a good majority of us, still want to be able to have the conversation with Mariko, with Keith, and everyone. Keep that
Real
human
stuff,
element,
real
and that's
music.
real stuff. Absolutely,
Well, let's pick up on that
absolutely.
because
Keith,
you
have you,
love live
Keith,
streams.
have you? I want to ask
Yeah,
you something. Have you heard of a band, a musical band from Canada called Angine de Poitrine?
Wow, that's an unusual name. I would have known that. Tell me about them. I'm interested. What do they do?
Have you haven't heard them? Okay. One of these days, I have a feeling that somewhere in one of your social media feeds or so you're going to come across this band. I'm personally really happy for these guys because of the fact that they come from Canada. So they have exploded on the scene. When you see them, you'll know them right away. They are a band of polka dots. It's black and white polka dots or white on black polka dots. They have masks, so we don't know what they look like. And they play a very bizarre sort of maybe you know what I'm talking about. The reason why I bring this up is because exactly that. They are sort of the antithesis to everything AI, everything that isn't organic. And they're also the antithesis to what was that sort of dominated social media, which was narcissism, right? Like we're maybe hopefully coming to the end of the sort of age of narcissism, the anonymity of it, and they've exploded. They've absolutely exploded. I hope you hear about them.
What does that word actually mean?
I wish them.
What does that word actually mean? Is that a
angine de poitrine means basically like heartache or heart pain. What's angine?
I'm guessing they're from Montreal.
We're from Quebec, yes. Montreal. Yeah, I don't know if
it sounds like it translates to angina pectoris.
Yeah, that's the literal. That would be the literal. No, it's not. It's more like heart pain, I believe. I do speak French, but
yeah. Look, this is very interesting because for a very long, I'm into metal, so the Slipknot wore masks. There's my favorite band is a band called Ghost. I'm not going to go there, but they're my favorite band, and they all wear masks. And there's another one sort of Sleep Token, which probably relates to what you're saying. They're all real people that wear masks. And now I'm so fascinated by this. I got now that you've told me about
Jason, you've heard of them, right?
Americo. We're talking to Americo here. So Jason was in Red.
So Americo, sorry. Oh, right. Sorry.
No, I have not. I haven't heard of them.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well,
could you?
It was just one example that came to mind.
Yeah, look, this is very important in music.
It's truly innovative. Yeah, it's very interesting because they use microtone chords. In other words, and they tend to use very irregular time signatures. Most of the music that you and I listen to is
you are talking my language.
4/4 signature.
You are talking my language.
These guys use 7/8.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is fascinating little collection. So basically, it's two guys. It's one drummer and one guitarist / bass player. So he's got a double neck guitar, and he's using loop pedals.
Oh man!
And they build these.
Oh, you're gonna
love these guys.
You know, when I was a muso, if the technology we would have had was available then, I would never have joined a band. You know what I mean? You're a drummer. You know, you've been in bands, and then the guitarist leaves, and then the singer decides he's going to go overseas, and then the keyboard player decides, you know what, I'm going to go back to uni. Well, look, we've got gigs coming up. Well, too bad.
Oh yeah.
You know, I've got gigs coming up. Well, that's just too bad, Keith. Just suck it up and get someone else. Well, hang on, that's not very good. We've been practicing for 6 months. We got an album out. We got a tour on that album. No, we don't have to tour. I've got a kid on the way. I'm gonna quit my job and move to Coburg, Ontario. But
Bands are like marriages. You're right. Yeah,
But
like,
if I hadn't
bands are
had
like
this-
marriages, but with
But in the context of AI and AI slop, is it cheating to use a loop pedal? I don't think so. I mean, you play the guitar part
No,
that it
I don't
on
think so.
plays. Yeah, then you play the bass part it on
No, that's
plays.
not
You
true.
play the drums with your feet. Like you think about Rush, who are from not very far
Yeah.
from where you are, and they are super musos.
That's right.
But they are three guys that are unique in the world. There would be very few people in the
Yeah.
world that could play like them. They are freaks. Geddy Lee sings, plays bass
Mhm.
guitar, plays keyboards with his feet. Like that just makes me sick thinking about it. How can you do that? He does
Oh,
it.
wait till you see this guy's footwork.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody was making a joke about that. How the Grammys need a new category for best footwork in a performance because
Ah,
this guy's turning knobs. He plays barefoot and he turns knobs with his toes.
yeah. Look, I'm definitely going to listen to them.
You're gonna love these guys.
But what does that
Yeah.
mean let's have this discussion. What does that mean for music in the context of Suno, where I punched in, have a funky song called Practical AI. It took me 10 minutes to write and it's out there. Like, I mean, so easy. What's the dichotomy there?
Yeah, it's context. I think exactly what you're pointing out there. I think that if you need a little jingle for your small business, Suno's fantastic, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if somebody wants to call that cheating, call it cheating. But it for a small business who can't afford to hire a songwriter and then a band and then a studio like you used to have to, it makes total sense. As far as what are people going to pay music for, I forget what's the name of the band that recently came out, but they didn't really disclose that they were AI. And now they're basically
Velvet
like
Sunrise.
a punchline.
Velvet Sunrise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So now they are a punchline, right? So the distinction there is it's not so much that it's cheating or that it's wrong. I think that it's a function of being honest, right? If you present something that's done with AI and pretend, hey, yeah, that's really me saving an eagle, right? You lose all credibility with me, right? If you make some imaginary video that's Disney-like about somebody saving a video, well, an eagle, then good for you. That's cute. You know what I mean? It depends. It's context. It's the context, I think.
But
wanna pick up
here's
on this?
here's a question. Here's a question. So, and I know we've had this, but I'd love to hear the thoughts and whether or not the thoughts have changed. So, if I were to hum along a melody and upload that melody into Suno,
Yeah.
if you have Suno Pro, that melody could, based on whatever prompt you give it, it can be whatever instrument. It could be a trumpet, it could be a flute, what have you. And if the lyrics are mine and I'm putting in the lyrics, like I'm not a music songwriter, but if I put in what I capture as my thoughts, put it into words, Suno will then recommend a chorus, a bridge, and break it all up for me and make it sound like a song. Still my words. And I can turn out a decent piece of music, in my opinion, decent. Others could listen to it and it's like, this is still garbage. Is that cheating? If it's still my lyrics, it's my thoughts that went into that melody that I'm humming. I'm just using tech to bridge it all together.
Oh, it's very good. You go first, Joel. I've got very specific thoughts about this, but I'd be very interested in your thoughts about where does creativity begin and end?
Yeah, I don't know that it's cheating. I think the cheat or the falseness comes in if you say, that was really me singing. That's really my voice. Or, I played all those instruments. That's cheating, right? I'm reminded of Milli Vanilli.
Yes.
right? Now, it's not that the song was bad. It's not that the music, but it wasn't. What was wrong about it was that they pretended like these were the two guys singing. So I think that's the distinction. That's where I draw the line.
Yeah, I agree. The thing I've had my bet. I used to write songs, Julian, like as a hobby, but I wanted to make this a living, and so a mate of mine who's continued to write songs has a publishing deal. Right, so I have conversations with him almost every day. And we had this conversation over a coffee last week, and he said, you know, what's going to happen is that you have these amazing songs, but no one's going to hear them because publishing houses won't accept them. This has actually happened to him. I know, Keith, that song's very cool, but we can detect that that chorus was written with AI and we won't accept it. We haven't decided what we're doing with it, but we're not accepting it just to keep safe. So unless you've written the song and sung the song and played all the instruments on the song, we're not accepting it. You can play it. You can play it in your bedroom to your friends. You can even have a party at the beach if you want, but we won't accept it. It will never be on the radio, and no one will ever hear it. So, I mean, it's sort of a self-defeating principle. You can have these amazing songs, no one's ever going to hear them unless you're Velvet Sunrise. But there's this big argument going on at the moment, not about copyright, not about cheating, but about whether or not that you can take these songs further. So several of my friends who write songs say, look, Keith, you've got these great songs, but no one's ever going to hear them because you're not allowed to play them. The record companies won't accept it. You can never play it on the radio. Deezer, I think it's Deezer, the streaming platform doesn't accept AI anymore. Spotify might follow eventually. Publishing houses won't take the songs, so you can't do anything with them. And if you went to a record company, they've got tech now that can detect that stuff. They won't sign you. So why are you doing it? I mean, the point of having songs is people that can hear them. I mean, I dance around all day to my own songs. I've got about 100 now. I could just do that all day, dance around in my pajamas. But what's the point of that? Cost me $10. It's a fantastic hobby. Is that a good answer, Americo? It's a fantastic question.
So would you categorize this as an equivalent to a knockoff? We're knocking off an art, a skill. You and I, 6 months ago, we did a live presentation where I brought in a knockoff Shure SM58 and we put it up against the real Shure SM58. So can we, if we were to compare, if it can be a comparison at all, is what we're doing generating AI music the equivalent to creating perhaps a knockoff of music?
I can feel a song coming on. Julian, what I do with my songs, this show is like listening to the radio on the train on the way to work. I wrote a song about that in America. I created a song. And the basic premise, I'm really interested in this idea, but I'm going to play a song about it to set the tone. If you can't tell, you can't choose. So you and I can tell because we're attuned to it. My gut feeling, and please answer this in the comments. If you're listening to a song on the radio and you've never done music before and you've never studied music before, you cannot tell. Most of these songs have got AI components. I'd be very surprised if the average person in the street listening to a song at the building site could tell. So I've written a song about that. And let's play this song and then listen to the words and then talk about this idea. Can you tell when songs are written with AI?
If you can't tell, you can't choose who's the ghost and who's the muse. They're using code to chase the views. If you can't tell, then you can't choose. Woke up wired, but I can still dream. Circuits hum under my skin sheen. You say real, but what's it mean? When metal hearts still bleed unseen. You If you can't tell, you can't choose who's the ghost and who's the muse. They're using code to chase the views. If you can't tell, then you can't choose. If you can't tell, you can't choose who's the ghost and who's the muse. They're using code to chase the views. If you can't tell, then you can't choose.
Okay, now can you tell? Do you want to jump in first, Julian, and tell me what you think? Can you tell? Did you tell that?
Well,
Was that AI?
I certainly would have highly suspected if you put it on the radio, or if you, I would have suspected it today. If you played it 10 years ago, I would have thought, yeah, okay, I guess somebody could have recorded that. I have one quick question, which was at the end there was this little sort of slow down, or well, speed up and then slow down. Was that in the, or is that just the how it came through on my end?
It's an internet problem. It is. This show goes.
Could be an internet.
I mean, what I love, and we'll have this discussion over time. I use a site called Restream, and I can send this file to up to 5, even 10 places. But it's relying heavily on the internet power at my site and also your site. So it does go up and down. But the question is, can you tell that this song was written by AI? Does it matter? And is this the future of music? I mean, what do you think, Americo? Can you tell now that these songs are written by AI? They sort of are getting pretty close.
Listen, I didn't study music. I can't claim to know a whole lot about music other than what you've taught me in the last 12 months. I would probably be fooled if this came on the radio, knowing what I know about music today. You'd be able to fool me.
And that for me is, I'll talk about this in a minute. What I did, Julian, we need to have a big chat about this. Americo came to me with a phrase: be seen, be real, be remembered. I said, oh,
Be heard.
Be heard,
Be
seen, be heard, be remembered. I thought, oh, that's a great tagline for a song, great chorus. So I wrote a song called Be Seen, Be Heard, Be Remembered. And it had this sort of poppy little Avril Lavigne, Pink, Olivia Rodriguez vibe. Not those three people are very similar, but you know what I mean? That sort of poppy, sort of middle of the road radio stuff that people listen to. I don't listen to that, but that sort of pop thing, yeah. And I thought, okay, this is a very cool project, Julian. I wrote 18 versions of that song, and I said, what would it sound like if Nancy Sinatra sang that? What would it sound like if Donna Summer did that?
Right.
What would it sound like if Nirvana did this song? Same words, but I made it my goal,
Right.
based loosely on the Velvet Sunrise story, because I know exactly how they did it. And I got it pretty close. I mean, America, they were pretty close, weren't they?
They were pretty close, and there were instances where you not only had it reproduced to sound like a particular band or singer, you also played around with genres, and you would come up with 30s, 40s. You did a whole sequence based on genre.
It was very cool. I did about 36 in the end, just for the fun of it, because I wanted to see if this is a thing and it's going to be allowed in the real world. Can we do it? Can we make this song sound like? And what I did, and I'll play this again in a minute, I was inspired by, I watched Wicked 2, Wicked for Good, on Saturday. It's just come out on Netflix. It came out this week. Wicked for Good. And I thought, okay, well, that's a certain style of music, not really my style normally, but I thought I'd write a song about that. So I changed the words slightly to practical AI from the point of view of it being a musical number. You can imagine sitting in a chair at a theater and a guy and a girl are singing to each other. Right? But I had to add some guitar because I have to add guitar. And we'll play that later. But the question we're asking is, can you tell? And what does that mean for the future of music? Like, is a looper cheating? You know, you're just getting rid of about 3 guys.
You go on. I'll ask the same question, right? Because for years now, I've been using MIDI with Virtual Studio instruments. So it's another example where the lines are a bit blurred. I think as long as, again, I'll go back to just saying, I think as long as you're being honest about what you're doing, then it's not cheating. And I've been writing a lot of little jingles in the same way that you are. I've been using 11 Labs, by the way. It's also,
yeah.
I think it compared to Suno, very interesting. And similarly, exactly. There's a whole bunch of things, or in certain cases on songs that I've written where it's like, okay, this needs a female voice, or this needs that instrument, and I just don't have it. So you're right. You can iterate over and over and over with these things. I don't know if you find this, but I mean, having a bit of a background in recording, sound, all of those things, same thing with coding, all of these things. It's like, yes, the AI makes it possible for anybody with zero experience. Having the experience actually helps a ton. And that's for any kind of visual design, understanding, color theory, for example.
Yeah.
Those people, I find, bring so much more to the table when they are using AI than somebody who has no idea what they're doing and they just come to AI. Yes, it's cool. And I think it's fantastic that everybody gets to participate in it. That's what's great about AI too. Everyone can exactly that. They just hum a song and invent their own song and do something with it. At the end of the day, I think what happens is that it brings up the requirement, the standard for how good and original you have to be as an original artist to attract attention. But if you are that, if you are talented, if you're really good, if you put on a really good live show, people are going to pay for that, because in marketing and communications, right, it's the medium is the message. And there's something about music that transcends AI. It's almost like the same question: does AI have a soul?
That's very
when
important.
we talk about music, same thing. So I think that there's an element to which
there's a little bit of a lag. I'm trying to sort of guess what you're going to say just so I can jump in.
Yeah, but I'd love to hear his thoughts. Yeah.
So Americo doesn't have a history of playing music, and he did try to write songs, and the experience was very different for you because you didn't know where to put the bits, did you?
That's absolutely what happened. I didn't know where to put the bits. I couldn't pick out a note if my life depended on it. But I knew how to describe what I wanted, and it was limited. Hey, give me a live vibe, give me pop. Like, I can pick out the genres that I wanted. But if I knew exactly the beats per second, and I knew what to look for, and what I couldn't put a song together. And if I still have some in my Suno account, they're great for a good laugh, a good chuckle. I'm a novice, and I put in my prompt, and I got garbage in, garbage out is exactly what I got.
With this in mind, this is exactly what this show's about. We have encouraged our community to hear. This is really what this show's about, isn't it? We're encouraging the audience to hear. Now, I know that sounds really ridiculous, but we are encouraging people to tell the difference between a $20 Chinese knockoff and a Shure MV7. I mean, why are you paying you $350 when you can get something that came out for $20? Right? They're not the same. Right. So in a way, what we're doing with the sound check and hearing the voices is not dissimilar to music, because I often now say to people, what are you hearing? Well, I'm hearing a little bit of Watermelon, There's a little bit of chocolate undertone. No, it's not a glass of wine. But what are you hearing? Well, look, there's this melancholy there. What does that mean? Okay, it's probably in a minor key. Okay, you probably don't know that, but let me see if I can decode what you're hearing. What are you hearing? Right? Because someone said to me today, could you write a song that sounds like Sting? Yeah, well, okay. What is Sting to you? Oh, storytelling, melancholy, minor chords. Okay, you understand minor chords. Now we're a step ahead. Okay, minor chords have this sort of somber, meaningful, slightly dark tone. They're not sort of happy birthday to you. I can't sing any more than that or else I'll get sued. So that's in a major key. Happy birthday to you. That's, a major song. Happy. Right? Minor key is much more somber. So we just teach, once you know, you know. You can't unknow this stuff. And as you say, America, you can't unhear this stuff, can you? You can't unhear it.
No, as I learn and I progress through this, through these conversations, through these learning moments, you can't unhear something that you've been taught is now existent. I was oblivious to a good amount of sound, white noise that never seemed to have bothered me. And now I get this nervous twitch when whether it's myself or whether it's someone else. Like I will ask someone who I might be interviewing, and they could be a novice and they could be a pro. A pro will tell me, it's like, yeah, I hear something on your end. A novice may not know what to look for or listen for. So they'll tell me, yeah, you sound great. And then I'll go listen to the playback and the replay. It's like, wow, that's garbage. I got to clean that up.
Yeah, well, I'll give you a real example, and I'll throw to Julie on this. We were having a chat with your friend, who shall remain nameless, and I said, look, what are you doing? I went, what are you in the lounge room? Yeah, well, look, I'm just on my laptop. I can't hear anything. Well, there's some sort of really loud noise. Sounds like you're sitting next to a sort of a concrete mixer. Oh, I can't hear it, Keith. All right, your ears aren't tuned to this, but I can hear it. And look, can you move? And there was this whirring sound, like a concrete mixer or someone set up a power drill. And she goes, "Send me the recording." I didn't hear it. I honestly didn't hear it. She goes, now I know. There was someone cleaning the pool. I said, well, why didn't you know that? I'd come in, how can you not hear that? I mean, you're outside the window, someone's cleaning your pool, and you're on the outside. And how can you not hear that? Oh, I just tuned it out. I just sort of been inside in the zone, didn't hear it. I couldn't believe it. Like, I couldn't believe it. Anyway, so she was quite chuffed by the idea that we solved it. Have you ever come across that idea, America or Julian? Do you have are you a sound snob like us, or what are you thinking?
I don't know if I would go so far as to say snob, but I don't know if you knew that I have a degree, a college certificate in sound design and studio engineering.
Oh man,
I've been fascinated by the subject of sound. Yes, right. So, yes, so I studied at a school called Musitechnique. This was while I was living in Montreal. A fantastic school, and that includes an element of music. A great sort of program on studio engineering and how does all the gear work in a more traditional studio, and so yes, and in fact that was the first time, because they had a real proper studio in there where the lights are dim and the walls are covered with thick foam. And for anybody who hasn't done that, if you have the opportunity to walk into a proper sound booth, walk in there and just spend some time and say something, because it's a unique experience. You're so used to hearing your own voice echoing and returning back to you. You're not used to it just sort of disappearing in a void. And those rooms can be so well insulated that your voice sort of disappears in front of you. And then you realize exactly how much white noise, background noise. It's a fascinating subject to me. And to be honest, I really think that almost just about everything boils down to the same. Like there's something in music that we recognize. It's a language that we spoke
Mm.
before we actually spoke. It has there's something like everything sort of boils down to wave theory, really. And so I think music is sort of our access point to something sort of fundamental and universal. And so, yeah, I love this subject.
So do you want to talk a little bit about what tech you
You
use?
know, he's showing gear now.
Yeah. What type of tech do you use? I'll run you through. I use a Samsung 2QU, $69. I love to hang out at the bottom end because, pardon the pun, I love to hang out at the bottom end because I know a lot of my followers are there. I could talk about gear that's $700, but most of my followers can't afford it. I don't even have it, so there's no point talking about that. And I use a Zoom P4. But I'd love to know what you use. How do you get your dulcet tones to communicate to everyone? Julian, I'll start there.
Yeah, my gear. So when I Coburg, yeah, all my gear is currently in boxes. I use very sort of cheap microphone, serious musical recording at the moment. As far as like recording, mixing tools, I've used GarageBand. Actually, is actually really quite useful as a mixing tool. And the Steinberg products are also very good.
Oh yeah.
Sequencing tools.
Did you ever use
Cubase, for example, is a good one.
Focusrite? Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, why this is important?
No, I haven't used Focusrite. And then compressor microphones, and you know, the microphone's a big deal for sure.
Yeah, because one of the things we talk about, and I don't know if you intend to write a book, but one of the things a lot of our friends, and a lot's changed in the last 7 years, which is actually a Shinedown song. I'll talk about that in a minute. But one of the things we talk about is a lot of my mates are doing podcasts. A lot of my mates are doing this stuff. And everyone in the world, most people say, yeah, look, I'll come on your show. Yeah, of course you will, because you'll get free PR for the book that's coming out. What are you going to do? Oh, I'll just use my laptop, sit in the kitchen. What, you're going to sit in the kitchen? The kids are home today. They're screaming. The guy's mowing his lawn. There's someone overhead with a helicopter because they've got a shark in the bay. And you're just talking in your laptop in the kitchen. Yeah, well, it sounds all right, doesn't it? Come on. I mean, it's just a book. So a lot of my mates have said, look, I've got standards. If you want to come on my show and promote your book, you have to have at least a decent mic and at least a willingness to learn. Well, mate, I'm just promoting a book. How hard can it be? Well, and we've had this discussion many, 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 many times, America, haven't we? Yeah?
Yeah, we have. In fact, we've had it so many times that I'm now leaning towards, and I'm working on a couple of examples and samples for my school community. Had someone yesterday who was kind enough to share their thoughts. Hey, I'm very comfortable at the low end talking into my laptop because, as you pointed out, that's where my community hangs out. So I'm perfectly fine with keeping it simple and basic. So I want to help those people by sharing before and after samples of what talking into a laptop could sound like and compare it to something very basic. Just run it through some software, some AI generated filtering to remove some of that hum, some of that buzz, and just have it sound a little crisper. And I want people to maybe, just maybe, it's like, oh, that is a difference. And start to envision how, with a better sounding stage or studio, you can now market yourself to a completely different group of clients, community members, and so forth.
Especially as you climb the ladder of types.
There's a lot of.
Yeah, you go, Julian. Yeah, you go. What are you thinking?
Oh, also, a lot of decent USB microphones that you can just plug into your laptop, like a Yeti, for example, which is those types of microphones have become very popular. They're very affordable, and that can make a big difference. There you go. There's a picture of one.
So this is very important. I am a bit of a sound snob, but the reason I do this, Julian, this is very important to me. What I do 2 shows a week now. On the Wednesday, Tuesday for you, I do a proper show, a show about a topic that has some merit, and we know what we're going to talk about, and there's a list of topics that are going to be included in that. What at the moment we're talking about repurposing, which is a perfect story for you because you have these interviews on the radio or you get interviewed on your friend's podcast, but then it just sits there and no one ever does anything with it. And our friend Bez can talk specifically about this. I've got a very specific example. So we talk a lot about repurposing, but on Wednesdays, Tuesdays for you, it's a very specific show. How I found with this internet stuff is that someone turns up an hour and a half late and they go, mate, I'm doing nothing. There's nothing on TV. Can I just jump in? Yeah, of course. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, jump in. And then they sound shit and they're not prepared and it spoils the vibe. We're on a roll. We're on it. We've got momentum. We've planned this out. We know exactly what we're talking about. We're sharing good stuff. And then this person comes in and just sort of kills the mood. This has happened like a zillion times, hasn't it, in America? Just a zillion times. Yeah?
Absolutely.
So what I do now on Tuesdays.
Well, I'm glad I came in on an open mic night then.
Night, yeah, it's an open mic night. We can get.
I'm glad, and especially given that I had some camera problems as well. I think, but you're right. The audio, just going pure audio, is the way to go here.
Yeah, I love it, and so I do 2 shows a week, and I think it's just an interesting discussion. Given that you guys are local, I'd love to have this sort of move up the line. You could probably Americo has a show as well. Do you want to tell us about what you're moving forward with in July and August, Americo, and see if you can time that up with Julian?
Yeah, certainly. So I continue to refine and evolve. I host a school community that helps people kind of build their own live video or audio presence and supplement it as part of their content strategy. And for the longest time, I'll continue to do this. I love to demonstrate and help people learn by doing. So I will host these events and I will spotlight different business owners and different professionals, and we'll have one show that is dedicated to storytelling, and we focus on someone's life's journey, and others will take a different vibe and talk about more of a conversation around their professional lens. And I'll toy around with different variations on camera, off camera, create new studios just so that people have something that they can envision themselves looking like. So the calendar's always open. There's always spots. I know we are in the dog days of summer, and not everyone wants to be indoors when we have such a short, warm season. But if it's something you're interested in, come hang out with us, and we will spotlight you and everything you're doing in your platform, and we'll repurpose it, which is part of the framework that I coach and as well, is to help those live conversations continue to live on well after the conversation took place. So
we're doing some good work here, and we're one of the things I wanted to mention, Julian, is that Americo has a school account, a community that he uses. He uses school, and I'm just wondering, do you have a community? Do you use School or Circle or Mighty Networks or Discord? Do you have a community that you're doing, or how do people communicate with you?
For me these days, it's certainly far more online. I'm back and forth in the city into Toronto quite a bit. And I've done, and one of my favorite places personally in Toronto that I to book to bring people together is Heart House, part of the University of Toronto campus. It's a beautiful sort of old Victorian building, lots of rooms, but there's plenty of spaces for that. And Americo, you're what you're doing, I think, sounds fantastic. I love the fact that it's live and in person. I think people really genuinely crave that. There's an element to which, people know that they've been kind of consumed with their lives online, and they want to get out and be with real people, talking about real things. So I think that what you're doing sounds really fantastic, and I'd be more than happy to come out one time and participate in one of those.
We might see a Keithy
Yeah,
coming.
no,
How far
might
is
see-
Heart House? How far is Heart House from Vaughan?
So the U of T campus is perhaps, if I were to hop on the train, I'd be downtown in 30 minutes. And then from the train station, maybe another 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah. So within an hour, you can meet a real person.
Yeah.
Now,
Jim
are you up-
Woodbridge uses Heart House as well.
Oh, but anyway,
Oh, Jim Woodbridge. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I come in. Yeah, so I often come in on the go, and I get off at Danforth usually. That's usually where I have a lot of things that I need to do. But yeah, I'm in the city all the time. And there's so much. There is a lot out here. I moved out really to get sort of a little more off grid again. We were sort of talking about self-reliance, and so I'm surrounded by farms. I love it, but there is a real sort of community feel around here. There's this hilarious little place nearby, a farm called Haute Goat, and you can smurgle. Word means with goats. So and then there's a beach down here, and people. There's a big sort of sand castle competition each year. So there's a lot that goes on. There's even like little theater groups, that kind of a thing. So I'm learning that since I've been here. I've been here it's 2 years now. So probably maybe not as quite involved locally as I would love to be, but I certainly love those in person. I find every closer to in person is better. Every step away from it is a little more detached.
Wow. What do you think, Americo? Could you see yourself going to Coburg?
Well, I wouldn't mind going to Coburg. I'm always up for a drive. But if he's in the city, absolutely, it'll make things that much easier. I'll bring, and you know this, Keith. I've been trying to take this road trip from concept to reality. Bring my Zoom P4, my mics, my gear, and take the show on the road. So we can make it happen.
We did a whole show series,
And you
Julian,
film as
called
well.
the-
You're saying, right?
Well, I'll film virtually. So if I'm doing a live stream,
Mhm.
I'll go on camera. I don't bring camera gear on the road. Not there yet.
Have you, by the way, well, you certainly, you're more than welcome to come by. Where I live is a fantastic location for a shoot. I've actually wanted. It's funny that we were talking about all of this, because I've had the idea, and one day I think I will start to organize a sort of annual jamboree here on the property. Have you ever heard of Harrowsmith magazine? It's a lifestyle gardening magazine.
Oh, no.
No.
So
have not.
it still exists. Whether it's still in print, I don't know whether it's in print. It certainly exists online. I believe the original, I forget his first name, Cruikshank, I believe, was the guy who founded that, and it was from this property. So it's a beautiful place. So yes, exactly. If you're en route to Kingston, would love to have you come by. And you can actually go to my site, Off-Griddy, O-F-F-G, Griddy, GRIDDY.ca, and you can see what the site location is. And if I do this jamboree, this annual jamboree, and we'll certainly have to invite you out for that.
It's like a Woodstock for tech, is it? What would be the theme of the
This
jamboree?
is starting with.
What would be the theme?
I
of the
describe
jamboree?
I describe my life now, by the way, as like Amish with tech. In other words, like I don't have the solar panels yet, but I have my own well. I've got a backup propane tank. And the jamboree would be, people coming and writing and recording and maybe doing some video shoots of songs for a weekend.
Wow.
Put up some tents.
We
That'd be
did a
fun.
whole series for America on the idea of a social audio sound check and a road trip, and you didn't get any takers. But imagine, America, if we might bubble that up again. Imagine it's only an hour up the road, and then you're on a farm, and then you're out in the world with your Zoom P4 and your laptop recording people. Exactly what you talked about. It could be stage one of the new adventure.
Hey, I'm always open to reviving that project. I'm surprised that no one took me up on it, because it's a great opportunity to hang out with local community members, small business members, and have a conversation. Yeah, so.
But let's pick up on this. Is it a Canadian thing? Is it a members of the Commonwealth thing? We have noticed, just in general, that Canadians are a little bit reluctant to embrace what we're talking about. I'm not generalizing, but it does seem to be the case that they don't seem up for it. And I'm just wondering, is there a reluctance there? Is it the British model? Is it the being part of the Commonwealth? Because we have it here as well. If I show you my stats for Substack, 8% of Australians use it. 62% of the followers I have are on Substack in the United States. What is it? What do you think, America? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
I think it's a combination of a few things. So if we start with our diversity, we're very cliquey. We might be diverse, but we love to follow and stay among our own communities. So if America comes out and he's got this great idea, it's like people might be reluctant, and this is pure speculation. Don't hold me to account on this. But I'm guessing that some of our diversity keeps us apart, because people have a preference of, hey, let's love the idea. Let's try to get someone from our community to do something or replicate something like
Well,
this.
let's pick up on that. Let me challenge you there. I remember when we're talking about this is very important. When we're talking about the idea of outsourcing, there was a slight reluctance to employ a non-Canadian. So you said, look, I don't mind helping people out by giving them $50 an hour to do my stuff, but I don't want to employ anyone in Bangladesh because there's probably someone in my town that can do it. Is
Right.
that sort of what you're saying?
Same premise. Then there's another layer of maybe complexity, or maybe just apprehension. The whole, what's the best word to describe it? Just the tech savviness. We're very reluctant to share information with strangers.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? We're very private. Mind you, we say we're very private, yet people will dance around on TikTok and Instagram, and all that information is on public domain. But that could be a whole other layer of why there's some reluctance. Like, what are you going to do with this information? How are you going to how are you saving this information? Where will it be used? And I don't know that I'm comfortable with this being redistributed. All speculation. because I haven't had anyone come out and tell me here's why I don't want to do it. I'm just trying to piece together what I envision might be some of the reasons.
What do you think, Julian? Have you noticed that? Do you feel it yourself? Are you reluctant? Obviously not, I'm guessing. But do you find that Canadians are a little bit reluctant to embrace these new ideas?
It's a good question. I think Americo hit the nail on the head. There's huge diversity. Plus, on top of that, very spread out. We're relatively small population spread out over a huge geography, and so in some ways, the geography itself kind of isolates or creates that cliquiness that Americo was talking about. As far as on the technology side, yeah, I'm not into what's going on there. I do agree that, for example, there's a lot of times on the tech side of things, on the AI side of things, where it's kind of like, I feel like you're really pushing a rock uphill in Canada, and there's times when I wish I was in like Austin, Texas, or something, where I just know that there's a real, vibrant energy and excitement around tech. I think Americo was right also about the privacy issues. Although again, I think Canadians are kind of funny in that way, in that they'll say that, but then they don't really seem to worry too much about invasive laws that try to control the content that they can see. Or maybe that's why they're so reluctant, is that they know that they're somewhat monitored. I don't know. I don't know who knows?
I love this
Those are my
discussion
initial
because
thoughts on it.
there's a couple of things going on here, and Bez might be able to allow to. I'll just sit there for a minute, mate, and I'll bring you in. In Australia, very few people come to my show. Very few, and few people even show interest in the show. They just don't want to. Like most people say, mate, I use Facebook, I use Instagram, and that's enough. And there's this very cool image going around the internet, I don't know, in it, where a guy comes up and says, look, I've got this round thing, call it the wheel, and you're pushing this cart uphill with square bricks. Can I just put this wheel on your cart? And say, no, mate, I'm busy. Come on. I'm already too busy to learn. What is it called? The wheel. That's never going to take off. Come on. What a round rock. That's never going to take off. Can you just get out of my way? I've got to push this, quite literally push this shit uphill with a square wheel, a square thing on my cart. It's bloody hard work. Can you get out of the way? And that's how some of us feel when we say, look, this is an easy thing. It's a wheel. It's cylindrical. It'll actually save you time. No, what? You're just trying to sell me some bullshit that I don't need. Right? And we have it here too in Australia. Like almost no one comes to my show. I mean, Americo, you tell me, how many times do I have an Aussie on the show? Almost never.
Yeah, it's few and far between.
Yeah. What we're doing, Bez, is we're talking about the tech within the context of the reluctance of people to join from different countries. First things first, though, Bez, I want to introduce you to a good mate of mine, Julian Schmidt, who lives in. Actually, there's no sh in there. There's no ch. He lives in Toronto. A very, very good mate of mine. We've done gigs together. So first things first, I want to talk about that. But Bez, why don't we start with your AI project? You're quite fascinated by AI. Where's that going? You've done a series of these. What are you doing with your AI summit and AI series? How's that going? I got you there, Bez. Bez is in Atlanta, Georgia, a rural area. So actually, Julian, there's quite a lot of synergy here. He's about an hour's drive from Atlanta in a rural area by the lake. Have you got the signal there? Bez, we got you there. What are you doing? Wow, this is hard. This is hard work. This is hard work getting all this tech to work. But what we have got is we've got Americo, Canada, Australia, Sherry was in New Zealand, so we have definitely got a global vibe. So maybe the best point is to just talk to the people that are into it and not try to convert anyone else. I guess that makes sense, doesn't it? What with that in mind, Americo, are you noticing that most of your interested clients are from the US? Is that a fair assessment, and that you don't have a lot of Canadian clients?
I have one Canadian client that I'm working with, who's in the Kingston area, and I'm thinking we've been doing a lot of virtual conversations, and maybe here's an opportunity to maybe kill two birds with one stone, if that's still the same.
It's up that way. It's up
It's
that
up
way,
that
isn't
way.
it?
Yeah.
You sort of, it's so Coburg is on the way to Kingston, yeah.
Yes.
On the way to Kingston, I can see a song coming on. On the way to Kingston, the Canadian road trip. Canadian road trip. I can sort of see that going. I sort of get this sort of driving Johnny Cash vibe going. On the way to Kingston. I can see that. No one actually knows what I'm talking about, but I know what I'm talking about. Jump in when you can, Bez. I know you're having trouble there with tech, and that, as I said, Julian, Bez is probably in a very similar position to you. Rural town, an hour from the main town, probably has similar internet issues. You just jump in when you can, Bez. Just let us know when you're there. So what? I'll just put some context there.
Amazingly, by the way, I have fiber optics out here. I have fiber optics out here in the country faster than I did in Toronto, believe it or not.
Wow. Yeah. Bez is having trouble unmuting. So that's
we're getting there. That's the thing. This stuff is going to get faster and faster. Certainly the more that companies like Starlink and so on start getting the broadband internet with more coverage, all of these issues about latency, which is really what you're running into here. Those will go away over time. That's part of the format.
With that in mind, Julian, have you tried Substack? Have you been hearing about it? Has it piqued your interest, or is it another thing to try?
Oh yeah, no, there is. I hear about Substack all the time, and there's certainly a lot of people on it. My entire push. So once I started to use AI tools, originally I had this huge inventory of old tools that I had sort of tried. Oh, maybe, and in some cases, by the way, they were musical. Like, oh, maybe I could build this little chord reminder of how, and sometimes, they would be successes and sometimes they wouldn't. And I was all of a sudden with AI, I was able to I can revisit that. And I was pounding them out really quickly. And then I got to this point where, exactly as I was talking about with Studio J, where I was building the tools myself and knocking off all of the SaaS subscriptions. So if you look at my LinkedIn profile right now, it says kill your SaaS rent, because anytime there's a tool like Substack that I like to use, now I build it myself. I build a module for it within Studio J. So it's like, oh, I want something that works like MailChimp. I build my own MailChimp. I want something that works like Calendly. I build my own Calendly. And it is surprising how lightweight that those tools can be when you get rid of the bloat and you get rid of the large corporation cloud infrastructure that oversees and holds your data, and you just host it all through your own domain. It's quite liberating, to be honest.
Do you think you could actually create a piece of tech that could do what Restream does? Because that's costing me $30.
That could do what Substack does. I think you can build. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, because
you can reproduce any tool. And it's funny, I was on a call the other day because I was interested in what some guy was doing. I thought what he was doing was really cool. And as soon as I brought up the subject of hey, maybe there's some collaboration. He was not interested, and I asked him a question, which has been asked of me as well, which is like, what's stopping somebody else from just doing what you're doing? And he acknowledged nothing. And sure enough, I had a quick look at what his tool was doing, and I rebuilt it for myself.
Yeah.
He was charging $70 a month for it. So yeah. And that's where we were talking about Claude earlier. That's where Claude, I think, has its advantages on coding.
I love this. I love this because if you use the idea of a looper, let's use this example in Claude. I think this is a very good example. I played in a band. I was reliant on a singer, a drummer, a bass player. I was the keyboard player. There was 5 of us. We had a band. We played gigs. We wrote songs. The drummer leaves, I got nothing. Can't play a gig without drummers, except if you're Echo and the Bunnymen and you have a drum machine, I think a Roland 808, I think it was. Every drummer's nightmare. That's an 80s story, right? So if I had have had a looper in 1984, I would never have joined a band. I just would have written my own songs. I'm not cheating. I'm just not relying on other people.
Sure.
So imagine if Claude comes along and says, hey, okay, you want a site that looks like Bing Images. I want to create images and I want them to look like real life. Create a tool that can create images. You can create it. So we had this discussion yesterday, Bez, about what can it do. We're now having the discussion, what can't it do? That's the actual question. What can't it do? Like, can't make your coffee, it can't make your meals, can't vacuum the carpet, it can't mow your lawn. Please, if you've got a piece of tech that can mow your lawn, I want one, because I can hate mowing the lawn. But you know what I'm talking about?
It's coming.
It's coming. It's coming. So, Bez, jump in whenever you want, but I'll throw to Americo on AI. What's your take on Claude? I know we've talked about this a bit, but this is important. Claude seems to me to be the one that you can build things from. It seems to be the hub, the factory, the home base, from what I can see. Yeah?
I don't know Claude enough to make that judgment, so it's purely speculative response here based on what's trending. You hear everyone creating projects and building with Claude. It's all people are talking about on LinkedIn. It's all people are talking on Instagram and YouTube. There's just Claude content everywhere, and everyone is building and connecting everything through Claude and building their businesses, their workflows, their automations. So definitely something that perhaps should have piqued my curiosity a lot sooner. But there's only so
plenty
much
of time. There's plenty of
there's
time. But isn't
there's
that
only so
what
much
this show's about?
bandwidth.
Isn't that what
Right.
this show's about? This
Yeah,
show,
absolutely.
like, I use this principle too. I am what we call an early majority. I mean, I know a lot of people think I'm an innovator, but I'm not. I'm actually an early majority. I've heard the word Claude so many times now that my brain is saying, okay, you've got my attention. You've got my attention now because I've heard it 3 times today. Okay, it must be a thing because I keep hearing about it. What is it? That's when I get involved. I'm an early majority. I'm not an innovator. I don't make things. And I'm waiting until everyone else has tested them and there's people like Julian helping me work it out. And I'm an early majority. Claude is now an early majority. It's not an early adopter product. It's not an innovator product. It's in mass consumption. Everyone seems to be doing it. Not everyone. We're in that sweet spot, Americo. Claude is right here in early majority. Would you agree? Have you seen this graph, Julian? Do you know what I'm talking about here with the way that people are embraced?
Yeah.
Would you agree that Claude is now in
Yeah,
early
no, I have
majority?
a rough Claude certainly has a big advantage, but in reality, really, there's just a small handful that and you can just follow the money really to say, like, who is dominating here. But so there are a few sort of monsters. That would be Anthropic / Claude. That's the right. Then there's Grok, and Grok has an insane advantage in the sense that they have both robotics and the AI. And by the way, when people talk about Elon Musk's purchase of X, well, keep in mind that X is probably the very best training data that any AI model could have had. So Grok has a huge advantage. Then there's OpenAI, and of course, all of the Google, Gemini, and et cetera. So those are your massive players. To Mirko's point, these things, like who's leading, goes back and forth. It just switches hands day to day. Video is the most dynamic space where Gemini is leading one day. TikTok has a very, very powerful engine at the moment. They're probably the strongest. Higgsfield is up there. There's a lot there, Figma. It just goes on and on and on. So yeah, this space is moving and changing every single day. We've never seen anything, I don't think, explode and expand and evolve at this pace ever. And I don't know that it's going to stop for a while.
It's exciting. And I guess the point is that we embrace, and that's why I wrote the song Practical AI, because a friend of mine created a massive project using Claude, and it blew my head apart. I think, look, I just can't understand it. I feel stupid. I feel really stupid. And I got really angry at myself. And I thought, look, I'm just not ready. So what I thought was, I want something that's practical. I'll give you an example. With crypto, I want a product where I can buy petrol. I don't want to amass some bullshit money that's sitting in the cloud that I can access when I'm 75. I want money where I can buy a pizza today. I want to be able to go to Woolworths and say, I've got my $200 of groceries. Can I pay with Bitcoin? No, you can't. You can't pay with Bitcoin. So I'm not interested in Bitcoin. I want practical advice that I can use today. So Suno, for instance, I can write a song. Good. I get it. Tick. Claude, way too difficult for me at the moment with my limited brain power. But I keep hearing about it. So I keep coming back to it. And I think that's where we're at.
Let me challenge a bit about what I think you want to go. I think you certainly, it's worth it. And first of all, yes, obviously, like I love it for coding, but that doesn't mean that you have to use it for coding. It's broad use. It's general use. The fact that you can use it to dream up a marketing campaign, to do some ad copy, to do some scripting, to do some organizing for your show. What you could do on the coding, because you don't need to be a coder, it's really objective prompting, right? So you could say, I don't know anything about code, but could you build me a little HTML page that I don't even host online, that I just open on my desktop, that does these things? And depending, as long as you're not getting overly complicated, like if you're getting audio, like, hey, I want something that audio processes this song that masters the song for me with one click. No, that's a little more complicated, right? But as far as I want my calendar tool where I enter it like this and it outputs it like that. Yeah, you could probably build something like that yourself.
Is that what many people are referring to as vibe coding? Or is that something completely different?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Well, I think you're right that vibe coding in some ways you're right. Yes, that when you talk about sort of like objective prompting, I think vibe coding in some ways is a way of saying, that it's somebody who never learned anything in code and is just doing that. And exactly, they're using AI, there's also, Base 44, Lovable. There's a lot of those where you can sort of, dream up an app and it will build and host that app somewhere for you.
I like this.
So vibe coding is where you don't know anything. I knew a bit, so I've known coders that were way better than me. So this bridges the gap where somebody like me who knew a little bit of JavaScript, a decent, was fine with HTML, a little bit of PHP. Now this closes the gaps, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute, like, I don't know how to do that. Do this for me, and it does it, and that's fantastic. And I can sort of round out some of the coding challenges that I used to have just don't exist now, because thanks to
Let's pick up on this. I love this
platforms
idea.
like Claude.
Let's begin with the end in mind, and let's have a bit of fun. Hello, Rose. I'll send you a link to this if you want to talk about it. Let's start with the end in mind. I'll tell you what I would love. I would love to wake up in the morning and for a piece of tech to say, Keith, here are the top 10 topics that you could write a blog about today that are trending in your universe. I don't currently have that tech, so I've
Yes,
got
you
it.
do.
Do I?
Yeah, Google Trends.
Okay, there it is. Tell me about that. Didn't know about it.
So Google Trends is a free tool available to all of us. And if you just punch in Google Trends on your URL, and save it, you can see what's trending globally, locally. Like you set the parameters based on what content you want to see trending and what you align yourself with. And you know what? If somewhere in Australia, let's say Bondi Beach is all the rage and everyone's traveling because there's some great whale watching or dolphin watching, something, then you can jump on that trend. Hey, here's what's happening in Australia. Over on the other end, on Bondi Beach, this is what's happening. This is what people are talking about. And here's what local businesses are doing to bring in tourism to come watch the dolphins. And if that's what's trending in Australia, great. You have that accessible to you. If you want to know what's trending globally, you can set your parameters, and you'll get a breakdown, geopolitical, and all the topics that are trending. It's a fascinating tool.
No, let's pick up on that. So I'll try that. Could you make a tool like that? Could you hypothetically make a tool like that, Julian? A trend tool?
Yeah, you could certainly customize it and put in parameters. So, for example, exactly as you're saying that, you said, okay, I don't want to just look at any trend. I'm looking for trends within the parameters of AI, music, audio, and travel. Whatever your categories are. Now, exactly what Amirko was saying, you could do those kind of filtering on your own. Where I think a tool comes in handy is where you've kind of set some guidelines, some parameters of what you want to see each day, and you say on top of that, give me sort of 3 brainstorming ideas in this, and you can train it on your voice too, by the way. So what I've suggested to people when they create these kinds of things is create a few templates of your own in your own voice, right? And then and describe what your tone is, what your voice is, what your priorities are. So you can create tools so that Claude or the AI knows what your priorities are, knows what you're looking for. And so what you could do is build it with Claude even on a regular basis. So you could do it 2 ways. You could build a tool that just does the analysis, spits it out, or if you want the AI input into the tool, you could build that tool. There really are no.
I love it. I got a really cool idea about this. I'm going to try and get Bez in. He's having a lot of trouble. Are you in with us, mate? I really want you to meet Julian.
I'm in.
Hey! And we have a winner. We have a winner, mate. Bez, I'd love you to meet Julian. This is exactly why I do the show. Julian and I have known each other since 2018. We did gigs together in Jamaica. I did it online. He flew there. We've lost touch, but he's back with us today. and he knows lots and lots and lots and lots about Claude. So I would love to start with your AI project. What do you know so far, and what do you want to know?
Well, the more I know, the less I know. That's what I know. And well, I started this thing called the AI Mastery Lab, and I'm not consistent with it, but um, I'm trying to have it Wednesdays, and I bring in a person who's good at AI in what they do. You know, they teach it for 60 minutes, and it's free. And the plan is for because a lot of people that I know they're deep into AI, they're working with it every day. They're using it in their job or their career search, or they're even vibe coding, right? They're developing MVPs. You know, there is a difference between vibe coding and real software development. That I will make that disclaimer. But there's a lot of people that all they're doing is they're doing the MVPs, and 15-year-old out there coming up with an idea, sells it for multi-million dollars, and can you hate on that person? No, I mean they have the tools out there can get you to an MVP. And there, I know people are trying to do full product with vibe coding, but I think a lot of people don't realize that developing a product is business, and in business you have to have your dot your I's, cross your T's, and there's especially in software there's a lot of risk, so you got to take care of those risks, and you have to follow established frameworks. And you who develop should not be testing your own products. You guys need to throw that over the fence. But anyways, we're doing that, and we're testing it out for the next couple of months. The plan is that if some of the people that are coming and sharing their knowledge, if we see we can work together, what I've offered is a revenue split. So hey, we have something you want to charge for. I highly encourage it. Whether it's a workshop, whether it's a series, and then we'll do a revenue split. I'll help you market it, bring it. I'll do all the back end stuff, right? So you can focus on the teaching, and that lets me also collect the emails, run the payment processing, and all that. So that's the minimum. That's the least I can do in order for the person to just get out there and teach it. And so that could be the end goal. We'll see where it goes. I just want to make that knowledge accessible and to people in my sphere, and hopefully we can all lift each other up. So yeah, it's sort of early for me, but yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's one of the things
excellent. I've just sent you both the links to each other. Julian, do you want to pick?
Okay, thank you.
Want to pick up on this and see? You'd be an excellent presenter for this series. I'm sure you'll be able to talk for 60 minutes about what you're doing there.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to pick up on that, Julian, about what you do? And
I certainly would be happy to, and especially in fact because a lot of what I'm doing is there is some overlap in terms of the mission there. So when right now at the moment there's you'll hear a lot of people talk about software as a service. If you go onto LinkedIn, if you go onto Facebook, everything's about SaaS. What I find in the developer community is that building your own tools, building things for yourself is a lot more popular. In other words, my sort of push towards autonomy, self-reliance is popular amongst the among developers. But what I certainly think, and I'll give you some numbers too, Keith, by the way, about like what adoption rates are like. But I think most people, exactly, they're not building software. They're not at that level, and I think that's a fair comment to say. The idea of just I'm going to build a product and bring it online. That's big business. But I do believe that AI is for everybody. that everybody can improve their lives step by step. They can use AI constructively. In the early phases of it, it might just be exactly that, like planning things out, talking things through, writing things out, organizing thoughts. And it could be just sort of text-based. And over time, you could identify, oh, and these are the things that I learned want. That's the great thing. AI is it can teach you the things that you need to learn. And as you go, you say, okay, what would be involved in doing X? And it'll say da da da, and you can go through that list and say, that's great. I know how to do 1, 2, and 3. I have no idea about 4. How does 4 work? And then it'll tell you. So I think it's but as far as going back to what the numbers are, we've certainly had a huge jump in the last year or 2 years from, well below 50% to well above, we're approaching sort of 70%, I think, is in terms of sort of global adoption, in terms of just using it all. Now, about 95% of all of those users are, again, they're tool users. In other words, they're using it in the way that I just sort of described, where it's like, help me write this email, for example. So I would fall into that. I would fall into the 5% category who is developing software with it but I'm certainly not the elite. The elite would be this sort of less than 1%. And those are the people who are genuinely training the AI models themselves and doing that while doing robotics sort of at the same time. That is a small fraction of 1%. Then, as I said, 5% of about 65% of people are doing what I'm doing. The other 95% of those people are doing, like, it's a tool, but everybody can use this tool, and everybody can up their game.
I love this discussion because I love tools, and I love the software as a service model. So I use Restream, which costs me $30 a month. Software as a service. Restream, based in Austin, Texas, is actually saying, look, for $30 a month, $20 US, you can actually stream using our software. You don't have to build it. You don't have to know how it works. Just plug it in and send your file to LinkedIn, YouTube, and Substack, and go for it. And as long as you keep paying us $30, you can keep using it. And so there's nothing stopping someone saying, hey, what about if I invent
You sound like you're talking underwater now, Keith.
I do. Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, what about fire? I'll tell you what we'll do.
Yeah,
I'll play a song.
Yeah.
I'll play a song, and
you're good now.
I think I might be
good.
losing.
Oh, you're good now.
Yeah, we'll
You're
talk
good.
about.
Yeah, you're good now.
Yeah, you've got. I can. Can you hear that sort of? I think it's Bears America. That sort of an underwater sound. It sounds like he's at the aquarium, doesn't he?
So I hear what sounds like we got water running in the background, the showers, a running tap.
But that's not me. I don't have any water around me.
Yeah, I hear too.
You hear it as well. What I'll do?
Yeah, not me either.
I'll play a song.
Internet static.
Which is actually internet static. I'll just play a song because I want this show to be like listening to the radio. It's live on air on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Substack. It's a good chance to have a break. Why don't we check our internet? Just do a little bit of a reboot, and I'll play this song. That was largely inspired by the LinkedIn algorithm, which is a very good story to begin with, because I actively dislike LinkedIn now, and I'll talk about that in a minute. What is this new algorithm?
What is this new algorithm? It's reading between the lines. No more noise, just precision. Matching this morning, things feel brand new. Posters shuffled, stories I never knew. No more chasing likes, no clickbait thrills. It's 3x stick goal, redefining script. 150 billion thoughts in play, learning what we mean, not just what we say. Every word, every vibe, every clue, all filtered through the lens of you. What is this new algorithm? It's reading between the lines. No more noise, just precision. Matching hearts and minds. What is this new algorithm? It's the rhythm of what we do. If you post with passion and a purpose, it's gonna find you true. Gather your thoughts and you'll fade away, but stay in your lane to avoid foul play. It craves clarity and names inside, meaningful content that shines so bright. They switch the system overnight. 1,000 models gone new inside. Won't fix this latest, they won't find no shortcuts. What is this new algorithm? It's written in between the lines. No more noise, just precision. Matching hearts and minds. What is this new algorithm? It's the rhythm of what we do. If you post with passion and purpose, it's gonna find you true. What is this new algorithm? It's reading between the lines. No more noise, just precision. Matching hearts and minds. What is this new algorithm? It's the rhythm of what we do. If you post with passion and purpose, it's gonna find you true.
There we go. KKFM. You're listening to KKFM. I just made that up. Melbourne, Australia. It's Tuesday. It's the afternoon already, and must be getting late in the eastern states. But well, let's see if we can pick up and get a bit of a stronger signal. I sort of did a little bit of magic in the background. I'll start with you, Bez. We did a show yesterday about this. Let's pick up with some of the things that overlap. And have you had a chance to do anything with the content? We got you there, Bez?
Okay, so yeah, that was a great. Yeah, can you hear me?
We can.
Hello,
We can hear you.
hello. Okay, yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I actually have. I finally made because within StreamYard you can make clips. So I generated those, but that from our session I went straight to bed. So I'm gonna download them, like the whole recording and all the clips, and I'm gonna put them on a Google Drive so I can share it with Americo and you and also who else was there? Mitch and
And Mitch.
that was 5 of us. Jim as well. Jim Feuds.
Now, why I want to pick up on this is this is a very, very good story, and I want everyone in the room to be part of this story. Yesterday, we did an impromptu event on using StreamYard, and we talked for 2 hours, and it was amazing. Right now, my gut feeling and my fear is that nothing will happen with that content. Nothing. So we have set a challenge for ourselves that something will happen with that content, right? So something has to happen. 2 hours of content in the ether a long session on LinkedIn and Twitch even. Nothing will happen with that unless we do something. Can we pick up on that, America? What can we do? How do we get the transcript and how do we turn it into something?
All right, so I want to first start off by apologizing by putting Bez on the spot as his accountability partner, asking him to share and giving him the added work. But the reason I did that was because I recognize the value, and I'm sure everyone who was part of that conversation also recognized the value. And I'd love to repurpose some of that. There was some great conversation around a variety of subjects, from men's mental health right through to Substack best practices across all our panel members. So it was quite diverse in terms of subject matter. And there's so much that we can lean into. And in fact, I already took one of my key learnings from yesterday where Mitch talked about reviving his old content. And I tried it today with one of my Substack posts from a year ago when I first opened up the account. And I've learned so much in the last 12 months. I thought, hey, let's take what Jim and Mitch shared and see if we can bring something back to life. So let's see how that plays out. And I want that to be part of the lesson. Hey, here's a conversation that took place in real time. We were learning in real time. We're now putting this into practice, and here's what came out. Here's what came out on the other end.
I love it. I love this because I realize that the reason why people don't do things is time, but we have a tool for that. And Julian, do you want to pick up on this? You weren't involved in yesterday, but let me set the context. Bez said yesterday, 2:00 my time, look, let's just do a impromptu. I've got some time. Let's just jump on and have a chat. And we did. But also 4 other people joined and the conversation was rich and glorious. What tools can we use or build to capture that and turn it into something else? This is exactly what we're talking about today. What can we do with what you know to take this further?
Yeah, well, you mentioned StreamYard and the fact that it does some auto clipping. I wish, unfortunately, off the top of my head, I don't know the software, but I think that's exactly what you're talking about or you're looking at is, and there are software as a service that does exactly that. You know, it's sort of auto clipping. It takes your full clip, it identifies, it uses AI to identify areas, you know, themes, subjects, little clips that it thinks would perform well, and so it does that work for you. Like I said, off the top of my head, I'm not remembering the individual products that do that, but they exist, and I suspect that, you know, with a bit of effort, you could probably, well, yeah, that'd be a tricky one, but it's a processing thing. But you could actually even possibly even process that on your through your own browser. All
right, so here's something for you. I'll put a real life scenario. So what happens at the end of each of my live streams? I retrieve the transcript, and I will ask Copilot in this case, or sometimes ChatGPT, analyze this transcript and give me the trending topics and recommend, you know, short form and long form summaries that I can reuse and repurpose. And while you're at it, also include some talking points that may fit well or may perform well as video clips. Give me the timestamp. So it'll process it and it'll give me all the recommendations. Here's what you talked about. Here are the trending topics. Here's some recommendations for long and short and video content. Now, the question is, can we automate those steps and remove me from it so that each time I go live and I hit end the live, can we automate it so that the transcript is retrieved, uploaded and all I have to go do rather than enter the prompt
man.
every time, it'll automate it. And similar to what Substack does, because Substack will take the transcript. It doesn't do the writing for you, but it gives you the clips. Can we do something like that with Claude, where we create a project that it creates that workflow, and we don't have to worry about it?
You absolutely can. And by the way, I mean, it's funny because you guys are all exactly the good examples of why I built Studio J. Now, at the moment, Studio J has one technical barrier for people, and I will be overcoming that. I will be getting to a point, hopefully by November-ish, where there's no friction. In other words, it's a fully hosted, and you can start to sort of build your site. And right now I do 4 bundles, and it'll become a sort of build your own. In other words, I want this, it'll be a sort of a la carte. I want this module, that module, and so on. But all of it from day one, the point was that you could always, rather than have to know, because one of the things that really stops people when they're doing something online is things like the security layer, right? So if you want to do anything with Claude or any other tool, what you need is an API key. That API key is your private access to the AI. And that needs to be behind a secure wall. You can't just go and have your key out in public. So securing that is where people get tripped up. And this kind of lets you skip all that. Now, the only barrier is that you just have to have it in a folder on your website. But once you're at that point, then you can tell Claude, here's what I want the tool to do. And what it'll give back to you is a zip folder. And my Studio J has a module installer. So you just drag that zip, install it, and you end up with it'll put a dashboard card on your dashboard, and then you can click and open the tool. Will it work exactly as you want the first time? Maybe not, maybe yes, maybe no. It depends on how well you described what the workflow needs to be and how complicated the tool is. But to your point, to your questions about could you do this, could you do that? The answer is yes, you could do any of it and all of it. And I specifically built Studio J so that it allows people who don't have a coding background to skip a few steps and just prompt and test.
I love this. You want to jump in on this, Jason? Is there anything that you would love to do faster that AI could help you with?
I've dabbled with a bunch of different AI. Like it does help me when I'm summarizing information for science articles, when I'm stuck for a caption, or if I'm just struggling to put my mind to words. I don't find it particularly helpful with editing videos or anything like that. So I do find it saves a ton of time, especially with editing like text. I use Descript, and Descript is pretty handy with editing our podcast. Really, the biggest thing is I just need another me.
Yeah, there's a movie about that. Michael Keaton,
Yeah,
Multiplicity.
I know.
Be careful what you wish
Yeah,
for.
that would be a very, very bad thing for that to happen. But yeah.
And Bez, is there anything? I mean, there's probably a million things, but let's start. What do you really need AI to do for you? Let's pick it up. Give us 3. Your top 3.
Well, it depends. There's a few things I'm already using at it, but for content, let's say this right here, we'll use the use case of yesterday. Yesterday was 2 hours worth of. I think we can all say, man, that was a pretty. It was just really rich, right? And worries, Americo. If I were you, I'd do the same thing and try to get that recording right. You wouldn't ask for it if it wasn't good. So I understand, and I'm happy to share it. It was getting late. Had to wake up early this morning, 5:30, and get my day going. So I had to hit the sack, but I did hit the button of, hey, let's get the clips. And I want to share with you guys something. I have never had StreamYard. Usually one or two of the clips will say, possibility of high virality. When I walked in this morning to that, all 4 clips said high virality. That's never happened. So they thought, they automate the AI. It was pretty good. So, but yeah, I'm excited about put it on Substack, because I really haven't got my Substack going. So I think this is going to help me. Substack a lot, but what I'm looking for AI, I'm in regards to content. I've got a few things. I'm looking to make it easy for me to record something, right? And just automatically it dumps into a folder and the automation starts, right? And I sort of did that on Thursday. A friend of mine taught a class, Claude for small businesses, and he went from taking something that was in your head, record it, then get it to Claude Co-work, and actually the output was a polished SOP just from your spoken word. It fleshed it out, had a template and everything. But then he extended that by building. He also went over building a brand, so he gave us like a 2-part super prompt, and then he went from that and showed us how to automate. Set up an automation with Claude, so you didn't have to use N8N or Zapier. You could just straight from Claude. So it was, it was perfect for me, right? So I'm glad I learned that. But I'm looking for me is to automate a few things, and I can use my time for other things, because there's a lot of things I've got to push the button, and I have to do certain things. So I'm to be more efficient, out to AI, whatever I can be, for time's sake, and just be better.
What about you, Americo? What would you love AI to do? There's so many good ideas that we can do, and AI can take the load off. It's just such a no-brainer. But what if you had to name 3? What would they be?
I know the capabilities out there, and I know there are tools that do this, but I'd love to have some form of outreach that AI could help me with. But I'm conflicted, because my brand voice is about bringing human connection and either supplementing it with AI. So to kind of say, I'd love an AI tool that would reach out to people, get them into my ecosystem, schedule a conversation, then I'll jump in and have that conversation. It's kind of contradictory to what my product and service is about.
Do you get that comment a lot, Julian, that AI feels very impersonal, that it sucks the life out of the human conversation? That's very poignant for you, because I know you love the one-on-ones. Do you get that comment a lot from people, Julian?
I think it's definitely yeah. I absolutely think that's a legitimate concern. Goes back to what we were sort of talking earlier about that IKEA example, where they didn't replace everybody; they replaced half of their people with AI chatbots that was able to handle sort of this. But at the end of the day, at some point, yes, I think you're making a big mistake if you don't make it possible for somebody to reach through to somebody with a pulse. Because no matter what, however good the AI is now, it's still not perfect. It can't handle all scenarios. And it is very sort of isolating, or it's a big turnoff for people if they're sort of stuck in some AI loop. and they can't get out and they can't talk to somebody real. I think it's worth saying when we're talking about this, all these automations, you know, we're in that little phase right now of AI, and that's exactly what you guys are sort of envisioning. I love a tool that lets me do this and that. Some of what you're talking about is certainly sort of being developed, happening. Some of it is very difficult. So, you know, when it comes to the social media stuff, I think it's going to be a fairly long time before there are existing platforms that will, let's say, the posting for you. But those are approved at the platforms. LinkedIn, for example, is extremely prohibitive in terms of, you know, you cannot, so Claude will not let you build a tool that scrapes, right? You can't go onto LinkedIn. You cannot build a tool that's going to go onto LinkedIn and scan through LinkedIn and grab people's profiles, names, and contact information and put that in a database. You can't do that. And same thing, they are blocking bots from posting. So at some point, you know, in the automation process, there's going to be some breakdown where you're still going to have to be the one to physically post it, maybe. But can you build a tool that queues it up for you and organizes it and puts, you know, here's the post, here are the hashtags, here's the link? Yes. Can you, you know, when you're talking about earlier, I'd love a tool that does this. I think that's exactly where you want to be. Here is what my is. I do this, then I look it through it, and then right. And when you know the steps, that's where you have to give to a Claude or whatever and say, build something that follows these steps.
I love this. I love this. One of the things I want to talk about right now is a site that a friend of ours in Brazil built called Savannah Bay, and I'd be interested to know your thoughts on this, Julian. What it does is it looks at your blog post and says, okay, you're trying to reach as many people as you can. You've written a blog. You want, obviously, people to read it. Based on what you've just written, we recommend that you'll probably get, I don't know, such and such an amount of views because you're missing some key points. Right, and it's an SEO predictor. Now, I'm going to show you how this works. I love this tool, and I use it every day. Every time I write a blog post, I look at it and say, well, how did I go? It's called Savannah Bay. And I'm just wondering if you've heard of something similar, Julian, or if you've got an approach to SEO as it relates to content. Because, and I'm very much about practical things. Practical thing for me is I want to write a blog, but I want people to read it. It doesn't seem much point writing them if no one's reading them. So this site called Savannah Bay gives you a score out of 100 to get better SEO. Now, this is a tool. It's a bit of a cheat. It's a free thing. Like, it's so good. It's so good. I'm telling the whole world about it. And it's just a little tool that I have written by a friend of mine. And it gives me a score. Usually it's about 60. And it says, try this, it'll improve. Try that, try this. Have you heard of something similar, or do you use something similar for SEO? That's a very good example of AI. I don't know anything about SEO, but this tool just makes it really easy.
Yeah, no, that's a good example. There are many examples like that. There are lots of these exactly that you can go online and use. They often will ask you for an email or something like that. And for example, I built one myself recently, or I built actually a couple of tools. One where you can just sort of plug in your website and it will do an audit for you. So yeah, it's much easier to do that, and it's much easier to craft one that gives you the information that you want yourself. SEO and now of course the big thing is AEO, right? Like, because now people don't just, right, let's not forget that now in fact you want to be findable by things like ChatGPT and so on. So there's tools similar to the one that you just showed, that's not an SEO tool, it's an AEO tool, right? And you can build those yourself as well. And it's all of these things exactly that AI is very helpful for. I think even for myself, who's building my own tools, it ends up being iterative, like you're talking about. And this bridges, I think, a bit about what Amirko was talking about in terms of, oh, I want my own voice. Like, I don't want to lose my voice in this. So at in earlier stages, when I was using AI, first of all, I would hop around from different AI. I would brainstorm with Grok, and then I would go over to Claude, and then I would say, okay, here's the rough outline, or I would get Grok to help me with my prompt, and then the prompt, and then I would feed that prompt over to Claude.
Yeah.
Claude would spit something out. Now I was editing it a lot, right? In certain circumstances, and I have, for example, my current blog on Studio J, I choose for my articles there to be very data centric. And so after a while, I would be editing them, and and my voice and what my tone and style became more clear. And on top of that, because it was so data centric, it was sort of irrelevant. What it's learned over time. Now, each time that I want to write an article, I take, the last 3 or 4 or 5, and I upload them into my prompt, and then I say, here's the thesis that I'm working on, and I'll give whatever information I have about the thesis at that time.
Wow.
It's so fantastic. It's so fantastic for research. Now give me the article, and it'll give me the full article, the HTML, the charts, the graphs, and so on. And what I'm getting at is that over time, that the amount of editing that I have to do gets smaller and smaller and smaller, because it gets refined. So these things is where I'm going.
Yeah, it's very doable. I think this is what I'm saying. So, as an example, and let's talk about this in our processes. I love doing these shows. As you can tell, we've been going 3 hours. I'll play a song in a minute, which is a good cue to possibly leave if you need to. So I do these shows for 3 hours. I love doing them. I've got to be honest, about 30 people in total will watch them. And it makes me a bit sad, because I'm thinking, this is so good. So what I need is a tool or a process, which I don't enjoy yet, to say, okay, well, you've chatted for 3 hours. What about if I'm going to get the transcript from Substack today? I'm going to punch it into Copilot, and it'll give me 12 topics, one of which I'll do a blog post about tomorrow. I'm getting a process. Right. And I think everyone's in a variation on this style. They have their core idea. For me, it's the show. But what I'm noticing, and I really encourage you to try Substack, Julian, for this reason. A lot of people are saying, mate, I can't come to the show. Do you have the replay? I do. I have a replay, but I know you're not going to watch it. And I can spend hours editing, and I know you're not going to watch them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a blog post with the highlights of today's show. And those blogs go very well. So I found my flow. I do the show, which I love doing, and it's spontaneous. And then I pick one theme from the show, and I write a blog post about it the following day, gets 1,000 views. Right? About 100 times more than the people that actually came to the show. And it's so successful that I've actually considered not doing the show, but then I'm cutting the nose off to spite my face. I can't do the blog post without having the inspiration, even though the show itself is not that popular as a entertainment vehicle. Right. So we're all in this boat. Do you want to pick up on this, Americo? Because I would love to hear what your process is, and what's your number one take, and where is the ripple? Where do you take it, and what's working down the line?
So for me, it's more of a mix of everything, because I want to demonstrate and provide visible, tangible examples of what a live conversation, what live video or live audio content can transform into. I lean heavily on repurposing and redistributing the conversation. There are people who I surround myself with who are overwhelmed with planning an event and then having no one show up as one of their biggest fears or biggest anxieties. So it's really about helping them visualize. It's like, all right, the fact that no one showed up or that you had low views, low participation, low engagement, don't let that derail the longer vision here, because that conversation, you let it take place and the magic's going to happen afterwards. And it's, for me, it's really about creating an ecosystem where I can demonstrate so that people can see in real time. And I talk about this in my school community. I want to stay away from building a community that is exclusively built around how to. We can all punch in a search query and find a how to, whether it's on YouTube or anywhere online. So the how to is great. You're just creating another avenue for people to get more how to information in a community environment. I want people to take the how to's and visualize by doing. I want them to learn by doing. And as a coach, I want to be able to coach and mentor by demonstrating. So that's why I create the shows. And when people don't show up, that becomes my next lesson. Hey, we went live yesterday. Turns out nobody was available. We talked about, hey, there's seasonality. Just like with any other business, you're going to have highs and lows and ebbs and flows. And when no one shows up, the show must go on. Your business continues to run. What do you do with that? You then repurpose it and you go hang out where other people might be hanging out. It's the dog days of summer. People are not at home sitting on their laptops or streaming on their TVs, but they most certainly have their mobile devices with them. So you want to capture those people's attention. And how do you do that? In 10-second, snappy, short clips. And that
riding a lion.
You go that. Well, that was a horse.
Yeah.
The lion was hugging me and embracing. But yeah, we're trying to create content. Some of it's AI generated. Some of it is clips cut right out from the conversations. But we're trying to raise awareness and build curiosity in short, bite-sized pieces, so that when people have time, they remember to go back. Hey, I want to listen to that conversation. Sure, there was a lion hugging Americo, and it stopped me on my tracks, but it was what was said during those 10 seconds after I captured someone's attention that may prompt them to come back and read an article or listen to the show, or in the utopic world, reach out, find some time in your calendar to perhaps have a real conversation.
No, of course, it's the end. It's the end result.
Jump in?
Jump in, man. I really.
If I
want
can
to
add
hear
to
from
that,
you on this.
yeah, if I can jump in on that,
Please,
there's a
please,
couple
yeah.
of things. First of all, is I would not underestimate the value of the long form content or the appetite for the long form.
Oh, okay.
content.
Let's have that discussion.
100%. I think it's that's not to say that what you're saying isn't true. I think generally speaking, what happens is the blog post that you're talking about, Keith, where you've got these little clips, the little micro clips. Those are the clips that bring people in, and that's maybe how you find your audience. But I do believe that there is an audience for that long form, and I think I totally understand where you guys are coming from, and it's very easy to sort of look at these little elements of what we're doing as sort of zero sum. It's like, oh, I did this and it didn't bring anybody in. I did that and it didn't bring anything in. And my honest assessment of that is actually, yeah, that's normal. That's, for me, I would say absolutely. I'm constantly trying new things. Most of them do not work. It's very hit and miss. I think it's about plugging. You just keep plugging away at it, and those things accumulate. And so the long form has its value, the short form has its value. And circling back to, what we're talking about in terms of, processes, I think it's exactly that every day you sort of chip away at, oh, maybe I can use AI this way. That makes me more efficient this way. Oh, and oh, wait a minute. Here's the thing that's really slowing me down. Here's the thing that's most repetitive. And you just, chip away at those and you find a new solution for each one. And you get more efficient at it. And I'm sure you found this too, Keith, that, over time, the more you do it, all of a sudden, you look back and all of a sudden you're like, wow, there's this sort of wealth of content.
Yeah. Well, I've got 118 articles now,
Can I
like an
jump in?
archive. Yeah, please,
Great.
Bez. This is good. This is very, very good. We're all having a go at this.
Yeah, so I really it resonated what Americo said. But here's the issue I have. People rely on their content to drive them business. So, I'm a headhunter, and I also do career coaching. And one of the things I say is quit applying. And people say, "Oh, what? Quit applying? That's how you get a job." I'm like, so let's go over the statistics of success that are out there, public statistics. And I go, all the statistics I'm looking at, they're less than 1%. That is the statistics. Now, that's not me. That's the statistics. Okay. So I teach a lot of outreach. Get out there, pick up the phone, send someone an email, reach out to them 3 different methods. Okay. Phone, emails, text, whatever, and there's statistics around that. And, it's anywhere from around 2 or 3% to 5%. Now that's better than 1%, right? So let's talk about conversion. And I tell people, well, if you reached out to 200 people or whatever it is, and you work the numbers backwards. And I think one was using the numbers, and I said, well, if you had, let's call it conversion, you got an interview. Okay, you reach out to all these people, and out of that, in the whole month, you got 12 interviews. Well, that's pretty good. You're going to convert a percentage of those, and you'll develop your ratios once you start going through the process. I just really have an issue when people think that they, and Americans, I'm not beating up on you, but when you're in business, just having one way to get clients is it can be tough. And I think the conversation we had yesterday, and we were sharing that story of the lady who was a CMO who developed 2 pieces of content a week. And a friend that had gone to school with her K through 12 was now a CEO, reached out to her and said, every week when you put content out, I print it up and take it to my leadership team and we discuss it. And I shared that she told us that, because I brought her into my cohort, that she shared with us that not once did he ever engage with her content. Did he ever like it or make a comment? But she was brought on board as a fractional CMO, given one project. When she says she was just given 3 additional engagements or projects, and she still hadn't finished the first one. And this is of somebody that didn't engage with the content. They were lurking. Okay. So Americo, you're the people that get discouraged. We don't know how many people were lurking and really consuming their content. Just maybe it was the wrong time, but you never know.
That's right. That's right.
So, yeah.
And
So,
that's
see
the
what I'm talking
message.
about? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the message, is trying to reinforce. Don't let the vanity of what is
Right.
happening or what isn't happening discourage you or cast judgment because you don't see any instant ROI. This is a long tail game. You need a lot of runway for this to be effective. And that's why, sure, my framework is centered around live conversations, but you're going to have to create different verticals to meet people in different places And over time and consistency,
Right.
will your message resonate with someone? And it might resonate with someone today, but they're not going to reach out to you for another 6 months, a year, or the example that you used, it was years before that happened.
Well, think about what's happened today. Julian and I met in May 2019. Bez, I don't know if you've heard that story, if you were part of that conversation, but we are proving your point. We did a gig together in May of 2019, and here we are talking again in real life. Can you believe it? That's a magnificent example of what you're talking about.
You don't know how many times I have become fast friends with a business acquaintance, and we didn't do anything for 10 years, and finally we did. And that's what America is talking about. That's what you're talking about. It's like, and here's the thing that is what I'm trying to break this cycle, or trying to instill a habit that we all should be. And it's never too late to start. And that is, develop relationships, right? Some people call it networking. I believe that there's a lot of people that get cringed up when you hear networking, but that's because, they've experienced networking wrong. There is
don't make me go into the city, Bez. Don't make me go into the city.
No, I know, but everybody's different. Everybody's different.
Don't make me. I don't want to go.
No, I know. But look, you do it your own way. You do your networking your own way. But you know what? You put yourself out there, Keith. So you are developing connections, right? You may not want to go to the city, but there's many modalities to develop relationships. I mean, I haven't met you yet, right? No, I call you my bud.
We're good buddies. Yeah, we talk every day. Look, I know it's getting late. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give everyone a couple of minutes to wrap up, and if you need to go, don't be embarrassed. We do go a long time. I'm going to play a song in a minute called "Visibility Has a Long Tail," and if you're still with me, I want you to answer the question. Can you tell that that's an AI generated song, and why can you tell? I'll go with you, Americo, first, because you got to wrap up, and it's getting late there. What do you think? What's the main thing we talked about today? Lots to cover. What do you think are the key points?
Oh man, there are so many key points, and then I'm pretty sure that if we pulled this transcript, we'd probably get another dozen conversation topics to repurpose. But here's one thing that I'll say to maybe summarize. With the combination of AI, with the combination of what we want, not only for ourselves, but for those in our communities that we serve, I think what we've talked about is really about resilience, because there's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of change that we're faced with every day. Be resilient. Don't be discouraged by AI. Don't lose sight of the fact that if you are human-centered, continue to be human-centered, but don't be afraid to use the tech to supplement and enrich the value that you bring, because you don't want to dig your heels in and just say, human connection only. I don't want anything to do with AI slop, or whatever, or however it is that you define yourself. Be malleable and open to trying different things. I've heard it today. We're going to try things. Some are going to work. Some are not going to work. More times than not, it won't work. But we're always learning. Yeah, right.
We're not set in our ways, and we're actually really. I love doing these shows for that reason. And we're talking tomorrow, but also on Thursday night, you're going to have another show. Tell us quickly about that, because that picks up on what we talked about last night with Mental Health Month.
Yes. So the month of June was mental health awareness, men's mental health awareness month. And yesterday, Bez brought it up, and we had a really good conversation. And I reached out to Jay, who's my co-host for the Storytelling Journey, and asked him, say, hey, the month of June has come and gone, and I know it's going to be July 2nd, but we had a guest lined up who pulled out, was unable to make it. how about we summarize the month of June and make it about men's mental health? And in one word, his response was absolutely. So we're not health practitioners, we're not professionals, but we're going to open the stage for anyone who wants to talk, who wants to listen, and wants to be part of the storytelling journey. We want to hear your stories. We want to hear what kind of support you might be able to share with someone who is struggling. And more importantly, we want to be able to allow a space where people can not only share their story, but can also listen. And yesterday, that was one of the important takeaways. It's one thing to be open and lower your barriers and be comfortable talking about it, but also lowering your barriers to be open to listening to what others have to say about the subject matter. So we'll be streaming live across YouTube, LinkedIn, and Substack, and we'll repurpose and redistribute that message to continue the awareness around that subject.
I love it. I love it.
What time?
Julian,
What time is that?
7 p.m. Eastern time.
Eastern. Okay. Love to
pick up on that. Yeah.
I'll see. Actually, it depends. 7 p.m. I may be able to, but love to pop in if I can. But yeah, if you share a link, I'll
Yep.
put it on my calendar.
Yeah. And what about you, Bez? What are the key points that you've learnt today, and that we can go into the sunset with? It's actually nearly sunset. I've been talking so
Yeah.
long, I think the sun's going to set on me. What do you think?
So
What are the? Yeah.
I came in a little bit late, but you guys were definitely talking about content and AI and the repurposing side of things and some of the stuff that we did yesterday. I really enjoyed it. It was a smorgasbord of different topics you guys were talking about, and just listening, was pretty enlightening. And so, I guess I'm just, my big takeaway, because Americo has been talking about it here for a minute, is even though we're talking about tech and stuff, is that mental health for men is important. One of the things we talked about yesterday, and he's bringing it up because Americo's talking about it, and so it's the topic at hand, is that we as men don't talk about it enough. So I'm glad that he's going to open up a stage to listen. And Keith, thank you for making space here for Americo to share that and continue the conversation. And,
No worries. It's such a
Julian
great
as
format.
well, so thank you.
No worries. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make I don't know how to do this yet, but I'll learn. I'm going to make a transcript using Substack, and I'm going to send it to all of you. And collectively, as a group, we can have a bit of a game. Who does more? I win. So who does more with it? It's all based on time and inclination. But I'm going to send everyone the transcript, and then from the transcript, we can do something with it with the tools we have. But Julian, look, I am so excited that we've reconnected. Do you want to spend a couple of minutes telling how we can contact you and what we can do for you moving forward? We've reconnected after almost a decade, and it's a glorious reunion.
Yeah, likewise, Keith. This is fantastic. And by the way, I'll remind you that in addition to that event that we did together, you at the time you had a different sort of variation of a podcast, and you had me on as a guest there. And I was doing a YouTube channel and podcast, and I had you on then. So I think this touches on the point that Bez was saying earlier about how you just, we never know where these connections and opportunities come from. They can come, years later. You just never know. And I have to say that I think this format and what we've covered tonight is way cooler than what we were doing back then, actually. Because I really think that, a really good conversation and good material, which is really kind of what you're looking for, is it takes maybe a good half hour to get really for everybody to sort of get into the pocket, get into that zone, and for the conversation to get really good. And we've covered a lot of territory. I think it's fantastic what you guys are doing in terms of men's mental health and mental health in general. I think it's absolutely a very relevant subject. You know, a lot of the people that I talk to today, they fall into one of two categories. They are either overworked and burnt out, or they can't find enough work. And AI certainly is a part of that. But you know, on America, what you were talking about, you know, in terms of people hesitancy or fears around it, my personal experience with all tech, and I've been in tech for all my life, really. You know, things are never quite as fantastic nor as bad as people predict. It's somewhere in between. There's a lot of opportunity. There's going to be maybe some upheaval. But I agree with what you were saying, is that, you know, don't be afraid. You certainly can't stand in the way of technology. It sort of laughs at us. And also, to, you know, your point is that, you know, technology at the end of the day was always meant to serve us. And in fact, it never really becomes anything without huge human effort. And so it's really about, for me personally, it's really just about, you know, making sure that I am the master of it. It is not the master of me. I don't let social media run my life. I don't let the technology run my life. It's a fantastic tool, as we've talked about. So those are some of my closing thoughts on a lot that we talked about, but I'm also delighted that we got to reconnect, Keith, like this, and I would be more than happy to participate again. I think it's a great format, and I suspect that all these little efforts will add up to something meaningful and worthwhile to a lot of people.
I agree. What I'll do now, it's 1:30 here in Melbourne. We've been going 3.5 hours. I'm going to play a song which is indicative of what we talked about. And the basic idea is visibility is not instant. Visibility has a long tail. I love creating these little songs that have little punchy titles. And so I'll play this song, and this might be a good chance for everyone to have a break or indeed go to bed. So if you're listening in, thank you very much for being part of this. I'll play this song and we'll see who's there at the end, but I'm getting a bit tired too. So I think this is a good chance to say goodbye and thank everyone. So have a listen to this. And we'll be back tomorrow for another show, and I do 2 or 3 a week, so there's plenty of time to catch up.
Visibility has a long tail. Not every idea leaves a paper trail. You just can't fake what time takes to unveil, 'cause visibility has a long, long tail. Circles through the noise and static, chasing lightning that don't stay. Everyone's screaming for their moment of magic, but I'm okay with the slow play. Little things stack when the spotlight's off. It's a marathon, not a coin toss. Visibility has a long tail. Not every step leaves a paper trail. You can't fake what time takes to unveil, 'cause visibility has a long tail. Some nights I feel like I'm caught in a scroll, buried deep in the overflow. But every echo finds its home in the quiet. I start to grow. Patience hums like a hidden song. Even silence is singing along. Visibility has a long tail. Not every step leaves a paper trail. You can't long tail, and I don't mind if I set sail through quiet seas.